welcome back and welcome in. Get cozy, get nice and snuggled in. We got CBS on the TV. Maybe you're watching on CBSSports.com. Maybe you're watching on Paramount Plus. It is the Army-Navy game. It is America's game. That's Tom Fornelli. I'm Chip Patterson, and we are going to be with you for the remainder of the afternoon. That's right. This is the Cover 3 Army-Navy Watch Party. It is presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 roles at goarmy.com. Tom, we still have about 10 or so minutes away from kickoff in the game. As we have broken this game down on the Cover 3 podcast, on our lock show, as we have discussed it on CBS Sports HQ, I want to ask that, like, now we're inching towards kickoff. You know, what's on your mind right now? Any last minute thoughts on your bets, predictions, or expectations for what's about to play?
Well, first of all, the first thing on my mind is it's incredibly nice of Jim Nantz to let you use his living room to do this live feed from. You look really comfortable in there. It's a nice room. You got the fireplace going. You look like you're really ready for the next few hours. As far as the bet, like I got to be honest with you, I'm a little nervous about this under for like the first time in a long time. You know, we talk about the Service Academy unders. They're 49-1 since 2005, but the last couple of years,
that's like 49-1, as we
correct.
have said. That is 40-9-1, not 49 out of 50. But yes, I'm sorry. Just to clarify for the viewers.
It might as well be 95% at the rate it's hit lately. I mean, in this game alone, it's been 14 straight the last 14 years. But it's just, the books have caught on. So, like, I think the days of us getting totals for this game in like that 45 to 47 range are probably past us, which means it's more of a sweat than it's typically been in recent years. And I think in a lot of books right now, like, this thing's below 35. So it's kind of a scary place to be because that's only 5 touchdowns. But that said, I still know it's going to win. It's got to win. It never loses.
I am ultimately hinging my faith on the under, on Navy being able to show up and being able to play some good defense, right? Like, this is like, if we were to choose Army offense, Army defense, Navy offense, Navy defense to play out a 17-10 kind of game, 17-13, like, those are my expectations for this game. But for that to play out, I'm going to need Navy's defense to show up. And the good news is we have seen Navy's defense at times be able to do that, but there's also some glaring holes within that schedule where we've been like, man, this group is getting pushed around at the line of scrimmage. The breakaway speed from some of these skill position players is just too much for them to handle. So this is where it's an interesting position to be like, okay, I need Navy to step up defensively for me to be feeling confident about the under. But ultimately, again, I just gave you a 17-10, 17-13. All of the ways that I see this game playing out end up in an Army win close, and a total that, just like any great edition of America's game, goes under the total.
Yeah, and the thing about the Navy defense is, if you look at it on the season compared to the Army defense, it is the weaker of the two. Like, they've had more problems stopping the run and all that kind of stuff, and they've been overpowered at times. Just when you break it down on like a game by game basis, like, a lot of that damage was done against Memphis, which is a team that's trying to spread you out, which is just not how Navy is built to defend or stop. And they did it. Cincinnati is in the college football playoff. So, of course, it's not exactly shocked to see that they had a good day. But, of course, Navy was in that game. It was only a 7-point game to finish. And then Notre Dame had a really good day against them. Again, another team with a ton of talent. And then ECU did really well. But if you look at their other games, defensively, they've generally been pretty solid against teams that are more on their level and that really don't have the kind of talent and like the kind of offense that could really exploit their problems. And going against Army, it's a much better matchup. And if we go back to that Air Force game, like, if you look at the final score, yeah, it was 23-3, which was bad for, Navy, obviously. But if you look at their defensive success rate in that game, it was at 73.2%, which is the best of any game they've had this season. They only allowed 1.62 points per possession. It was mostly just a couple plays got away from them, and then offensively they weren't able to get anything going. But that was also early in the year when this Navy team was not nearly as good as it has been over like the last month. Not to say that it's been spectacular, but it is a team that has been improving as the year goes on, and has guys have kind of figured out their roles a little bit clearer.
as you start to think about, this Saturday within the college football season and the attention that we're able to put on this game itself, um, you know, recently, what are some of, like, for me, anytime that we can get snow in Army Navy as we have recently, it's going to go down as one of my favorites. Whenever we've gone to overtime or any one possession result, which we've also got recently, some of my favorites. Like when I put the Army Navy game in perspective, I want to think that, like, we do have some of the potential, like, hello wins that it might
Mhm.
be coming through MetLife Stadium. I think that we've got a real chance to be able to have something special play out here on Saturday in New York. What are some of the recent memories in the Army Navy history? Because look, you and I are not going to try to fake this. Like, we're not going to go dive into a history book and then come back and tell you about my fond memories about what happened in 1989. I don't know. Like, I'm just calling that number out of nowhere. But we have covered college football for the last 11, 12 years for CBS Sports, which has always included a focus on this Army Navy game. What are some of the fond memories for you in the recent history of this rivalry?
I mean, I think you have to bring up the Malcolm Perry game from a few years ago, where it was like what he rushed for like 1 billion yards against. It was the game that Navy won, I believe, 2 years ago. It was the 31-7 game, and Perry just had a phenomenal game that day, and he had a phenomenal season. He finished the year with over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns, and he finished it with rushing. Yeah, he rushed for 304
Yeah.
yards against Army that day in the 31-7 win, and it was just phenomenal. And that was in like a kind of wintry, kind of snowy conditions. And he's already like, when it comes to players in this game, as far as like the athletic level that you typically get compared to other, FBS programs, Malcolm Perry went to the NFL. Like, he was a very high level athlete playing at the quarterback position. The reason he was there is because he's like Keenan Reynolds before him. You want the ball in his hands because he's the best athlete on the field, and it showed in that game. And he really tore that Army defense apart. So that's a huge one. I think that going back to Jeff Monken showed up in 2014, lost his first 2 games in this, but going back to 2016, Army winning that game 21-17, ending Navy's fourth.
The 14, yeah. The streak snapping game is huge, and there's an awesome clip. You can go and look it up, and as I don't know how much time you're going to have, because guess what? We do expect the clock to kind of burn here, so I don't know if there's going to be the kind of touchdowns and commercial breaks that we're going to have. But the Jeff Monken press conference after Army snapped the streak is an iconic moment within this rivalry, and the pride that he had. And really, that was the beginning of us realizing what the Jeff Monken Army program was capable of. And what the Army program is capable of, we've seen, is like 8, 9, 10 win seasons, and constantly going to bowl games, competing against the best teams on the schedule. And I was going to say, like, my favorite is when Army snapped the streak. And also, I was going to add in that Navy did got one back 2 years ago. So you've got, it's 4 out of 5 for Army right now. Navy, as you mentioned, had 14 in a row, but still is able to creep up in there. And I think that win is probably what has me thinking, even though we're looking at one team that's 8-3 and one team that's 3-8, I'm still like, we're inching closer to kickoff. I'm stick with my Navy +7 as probably my spread bet here.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's the smarter way to go about it. Because even if you look at Army's 4 wins in the last 5 years, like last year's 15-0 win was the quote unquote blowout. It's the biggest. Like, Army's first win was 21-17, 14-13, 17-10, and then last year was 15-0. Generally, in the recent history of this series, anytime there's been a blowout, it's been Navy winning, and that was during that run where Army just really, the program wasn't up to the same level that Navy was at under Ken Tiamatololo at that point. But it'll be interesting because one of our first guests today was at Army for Jeff Monken's first year. So he was there towards the end of the losing streak and was also part of being able to turn it around and win a couple games. So it's going to be interesting to talk to him about that experience.
So if you're jumping in the live chat, and of course, if you're here on youtube.com/cover3, then you should have access to that. And if not, subscribe to the Cover 3 podcast. Hey, are you new? Are you not used to this? Because I see a bunch of our familiar friends right there in the live chat. Subscribe to the Cover 3 podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/cover3. Smash that bell for notifications so that you can find out whenever we go live, whenever we've got a new video. Brandon is out here asking, are we getting a Danny sighting today? My answer is yes, And on the other side of that but is that he's actually part of the CBS Sports HQ coverage. He is on site with Joe Musso. And so if you are watching any of the surrounding coverage here, like we need this to be a multi-screen experience. You need to have the game on CBSSports.com on a screen, and they will take you to the CBS Sports HQ halftime show. But then you need another screen with YouTube.com/Cover3 pulled up. That is where you're going to be hanging out with Tom Fornelli, myself, Alan Bell, special guests, Brett Toth coming up here in about 15 minutes, former Army offensive tackle. More other members of the United States Military Academy family are also going to be joining in on this show. And we are all watching this game live right along with you. I don't know if we're doing America the Beautiful or the national anthem right now, but I'm sure it sounds fantastic.
Mentioning Danny earlier, like I doing HQ this morning, I was doing the pregame on HQ too. And I got to say, I was kind of disappointed that the weather wasn't more miserable seeing Danny, Joe, and Dennis on set out there outside MetLife. Like it was drizzling a little bit, but it was warm. They didn't look like they were freezing. And I was kind of hoping that it would be, snowy, windy, and them having to deal with the conditions. But they did an excellent job despite all of that.
Yeah, so Dennis is there too?
Yes.
Excellent.
Dennis wasn't even wearing a hat. So, he's got no hair to keep the body heat in. So it's like, I was wondering what he was going to be able to do there. Like Danny's got that nice head of hair. It'll keep him warm in any weather conditions.
As some of the things that we're going to be breaking down throughout the course of this game include, a review of the Jeff Monken era. We are going to be talking a little bit about success rate. It's something that we discuss a lot on the Cover 3 podcast. And honestly, there's no better game to be able to talk about success rate than when you've got two option teams playing each other. So we're very excited for much of what's to come here on the Army-Navy Watch Party. Again, presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 roles at GoArmy.com. When you were playing high school football, because a lot of running the ball by the time you get into that, middle school football, you're mostly running the ball. There's not much of the forward pass. When you were playing high school football, were you any option teams in the conference that you had to play against a lot?
Yeah, that's why I hate kids from Oak Park River Forest to this day, because they ran the option. And that was just I didn't start playing football until high school. I played with friends, but I didn't play organized until high school. So I never really had to face. And I think Oak Park was probably the third or fourth game I ever played. And, I was in freshman year, I was playing both ways, and I was on the defensive line, and I'd never faced an option offense. And it was just nothing but diving into my knees and me being like, what the hell? This can't be legal. How are they allowed to do this over and over again? And tried to figure that out. It was not a fun experience. It's never been a fun experience. And I can't wait to yell at Brett about it. Be like, well, why are you such a monster doing this to people all the time? Don't you feel bad?
Well, let's bring him in. Joining the show, joining the party, it is Brett Toth, former offensive tackle at Army. He was a 3-year starter and really has been a part of this rise that we've been talking about. Brett, we've been discussing as we lead up to kickoff about really how the last 5-6 years have seen a real evolution in terms of the way that Army not only has turned the tables within this series, but as a program leveled up. When you see Army play against the best teams in the country and the best teams on its schedule, the level of competition has been so impressive under Jeff Monken. You have been witness firsthand to so much of that. Can you take us through what that evolution was like being on the inside?
Yeah, it's absolutely a testament to the coaching staff that they have there. Again, I started there in 2014, again, on the tail end of Army teams that just weren't cutting it. And like you said, being a part of the turnaround, you could feel just the synergy at West Point. As we started winning games, as we beat Navy, ended the streak, beat them a second time, you could kind of feel the energy sparked at West Point, and it kind of gets the following behind it. It gets momentum rolling, and the rest of the academies, they live for this now. When I originally got there, you could kind of feel that game days just weren't the same. People weren't excited to go watch football. People weren't really getting behind the football team. And it all started with Coach Monken coming, the staff that he brought, and they were determined to bring Army football back. And just being able to reflect on it, because I was there when we won 2 games and I was there when we won 10 games. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And, it's just bringing back memories of the spring conditioning that we have, mat drills, where you really see how mentally tough you are. They grind you to the ground, see who wants to quit, see who's going to rise to the challenge. And those are the guys that continue to carry this program.
Well, you said you started there in 2014, which was also Jeff Monken's first year leading the program. So what is it about, if you could narrow it down to one thing, which I know is impossible, but what is it about what Jeff Monken brought to the program and his approach to it that you think was the biggest contributor to turning the program around and getting it much like you said, you were there for 2 wins, you were there for 10 wins. What do you think was the biggest factor in that happening?
Culture. I've always said this whenever people ask about how Coach Monken is as a head coach. He embodies what West Point is. The same thing whenever we have a good practice or bad practice, he reminds us that it's not our skill that's going to win. We're going to go out there, and you see that in the NFL nowadays. There's going to be people across from you that have God-gifted talents that you just wish you could have. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you're going to lose some reps, and it's how you respond, and you break another man's will, and that's what the triple option does to you, as you mentioned. If you get a team across from you that's not willing to go after it, play after play, you're going to feel the will exit that man, and you're going to put on the points in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I could tell you freshman year, it left me in a hurry. Like just that first time I ever faced it, having to go against that every single play, just like turning around to the ref, yelling, this cannot be legal. Why is he allowed to do this? How am I supposed to stop it? And eventually it's just at some point, like you said, the will to really do it on every single snap. It's like I went out there and I played, but I didn't really want to be out there anymore. It's just, it completely saps your willingness to do it. And I think that's what's so effective about it.
In your experience as because you were a GA in 18, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was it like being in on those conversations, going over to the other side? And is that something that you also enjoy? I'm sure you take a bunch of pride in it, because clearly the pride that you have in what you've given, what it means, and the program itself. But even being able to move over to the coaching side and be able to help others, behind you, the younger cadets that are coming up, and helping continue to build on the foundation that you were a part of. What was that experience like, almost being on the coaching staff side?
For starters, you have a newfound respect for the coaches, just seeing the hours that they work. Because as a player, all you're thinking about is how sore your body is, and this man in front of you just yelling at you nonstop. But after getting back from, I remember San Jose State, we played in San Fran Stadium, flew back, got back at like 3 a.m., and I had to go start cutting up film from the game for us to watch and make critiques. And you have newfound respect for them. You also see the game from a different standing. You see what coaches kind of key in on for a game plan. You see what they kind of attack in the middle of a game whenever they see shifts and changes by the defense. But also it was a really awesome opportunity because I got to coach the scout team defense while I was there. And with that was John Radigan was over there. And just seeing his story, that's something that man embodies what Army's all about. A guy that was fighting for just an opportunity for 3 years, finally got it as a senior, and y'all see what he's doing now, becoming a standout ace for the Seahawks this year. And I'm just so damn happy for the man.
He's going to join us later, right?
Yeah. I was wishing we could have it side by side.
Oh, I mean, I think he's checking in around like 5:15. If you want to pop back in, I mean, listen, Coca sent you the link. You can jump back in on it, or even better, if you want to talk any smack right now and be able to like lay the line when he can't respond, that is also an option, right?
I got nothing bad to say about that. I mean, you got to think about the position you're in. The one benefit that Army has is the unlimited scholarship. So my freshman year, there were 68 of us that came in.
Wow.
We graduated 11. And so it's the attrition rate.
Yeah.
And so you can find yourself stacked behind bodies of guys that they believe they see them as key players in the future. And I remember I started in locker number 155.
Wow.
So that's back of the locker room and up in the front circle. But as you got to see that as well as a junior, to where you're not seeing the field as much as you'd like. Like, it's easy for a bunch of guys, and a bunch of guys do end up just leaving the program because you're still on a scholarship at West Point, which is a damn good situation to be in. But he toughed it out, and to get that one shot and make it count as a senior, that's not too many guys would be able to stick it out the way he did.
Well, Brett, we've got an awesome audience that is tuning in live at youtube.com/cover3. If it's so cool with you, I might pull up a couple of audience questions here. And one of them is very, very simple. Ben wants to know, and judging by the Georgia Southern avatar, I would guess he's a Jeff Monken fan. But he says, what was Brett's favorite game with Army?
So it'd be easy to say, well, obviously, you're going to say Army-Navy.
Army-Navy.
My favorite one for that was the snow game, just being in the elements, because you had zero traction on your cleats.
Yep.
You could tell neither side had any sort of benefit when it came to the field. So it felt like you were a kid again, just playing backyard football and just finding a way to make it work. But I'm also going to put an asterisk next to, I believe it was my junior year, so 2016, played Duke at Duke, and it was in the middle of a hurricane. It was the same scenario where I believe Notre Dame was
played NC State.
NC State,
and the ball was sliding 15 yards. We were 2 hours down the road from them. And that was another one where I don't believe we won that one. But when you just get nasty weather, I believe that's what triple option football is for as well. Because now you really find the work to be there.
Brett, so yes, you were correct. It was Hurricane Matthew was coming through in 2016, and Notre Dame was playing at NC State. And Brian Kelly decided to throw the ball unofficially about 65 times in that game. And no one knows why Notre Dame wanted to throw the ball. I mean, seriously, I think Notre Dame threw the ball 35 times in the middle of the hurricane. Notre Dame lost the game, and there was so much water on the field that even on the game broadcast, when they broke the huddle, you could hear plap, 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 as they were going out.
Give Duke's maintenance crew props, because the drainage system on that field was unbelievable.
Hey, Eastern Turf Maintenance keeps Duke University tight, man. You know, they got to have that on lock right there.
I love that you know who runs the field for it.
Oh yeah, because Eastern Turf Maintenance, they got. Listen, if you do the field at North Carolina, Duke University, you're all over the radio and such. You got relationships. You see ETM lawn care around the neighborhood from time to time. Well, how about this, Brett? We're still waiting kickoff right now. So before we start to really start getting into the game, because I would love to, if you don't mind, also start to see what you're seeing, especially at the line of scrimmage, given your experience. But where's your headspace at right now? I mean, like as a member of the the Eagles organization, sitting here in early December, how are we feeling, and what's the season been like for you?
The season's long and tough for sure. But in terms of being able to watch Army-Navy as well, just seeing the team, seeing Coach Monken, seeing General Williams and what they just bring to the program and what they presented on College Game Day, it reminds you why you play football. Sometimes you need that reminder. I mean, my year hasn't been the most straightforward year as well. I ended up making the team out of training camp and then getting released at one point to practice squad, pulled back up, switching all 5 offensive line positions, which is accredited to the mindset that you get at West Point. You're a team first person. Whatever they ask of you, you're going to do. But the tail end right now, we're in a win-out situation to try and make the playoffs. And, the offensive line room, that's all we can talk about. We've got the guys in there to do it for sure. Leading the charge, you have Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson up front, and they're unbelievable leaders. You in this game, you find and take so many tidbits from different people from whatever teams you've been on, and it's just something that sticks with you for the rest of your life.
Going back to when you were playing still at Army, like during the season, because like you'd hear like with other rivalries, like like Ohio State and Michigan, every single week at practice, the coaches are working on something for the game plan for that game at the end of the season, no matter what's going on. Did you guys take that same kind of approach at Army, where every single week, whether you were preparing for Duke or preparing for whoever you were playing that week, there was still a portion of practice that week that was like, all right, we got to get ready for Navy?
We would usually have a competition period at the end of practice, which is it's twofold. One, you're kind of taking pieces here and there to get ready for the triple with your defense, as well as your defense. They all play the same defense against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the offense is benefiting from it. And as well as you have that competition, you can go an entire practice and just game plan, see this front, and you kind of feel like you're just going through the motions. But once you like hold a score and how competitive it is at West Point, people take it serious, and you log those snaps, and they eventually build up till the final game.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, was there like when it came to being in the game though, like when we were talking like making fun of me being stupid in high school and not knowing what's coming for me, but like is there a difference in this game, not just because of the level of competition between the two teams and how badly both sides want it, but is it different like going from against a defensive lineman who probably isn't used to facing a triple and has only spent probably a week preparing for it, compared to going against Navy and guys on that defensive line who are literally going against it every single day in practice? Are there little tricks or anything you had to use to try to go up against that?
Well, there is. My offensive coordinator in college taught me. This is Brent Davis. He's still the OC there, as well as the offensive line coach. Talked about how the game's different once you get to a pro-style offense, where he says the emphasis is on the offensive line. And that's kind of why I'm always on edge before the game, because within the first couple drives, you can tell if you're going to have success in a triple option based on how the offensive line is handling it. Mm-hmm. In a pro-style offense, you could have a shutout, no sacks, no pressures. And if you have a quarterback that has a bad day, you can lose a game. In a triple option, if your offensive line is rolling, the rest of the team is going to follow.
I would say that things are going pretty well right now.
I don't know.
Behind you. We're kicking off right now on my screen.
Oh no! Okay, all right. No more spoilers.
That was where I think you're. Dude, I'm a few minutes behind if that's the case.
I'll just say that if you had the over under on pass attempts and you took the under, having an explosive pass play on the first drive is a very good sign for the Black Knights. And if you are watching the game without any kind of delay, then I would say that the holes are springing forward to many possible explosive plays.
That's where it starts. It's the center out. The center versus the nose tackle is always the battle to watch.
Yep.
From there, if you have a nose tackle that can stop the interior, your linebackers can cue in on the edge attack, and they get a split second faster because the tackles won't be able to reach them and cut them off from the perimeter. So it's happening now for me.
It's a pretty good start.
That is a 4-play, 75-yard drive with an explosive pass and a 56-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, all my buddies texted me right off the bat. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm watching this from in my basement, and my dad also flew in yesterday. Showed up at my doorstep. Was like, "Yeah, I'm staying here." I was like, "We're gonna have some quality time in my on a bye week," and he's like, "No, I'm going to the game tomorrow." So he left this Monday 7th with the tailgate. And he was enlisted in the Navy, and he went and met up with some guys there. So
your dad was in the Navy.
Yes.
Tell me more about that. Like, how's that rivalry and just sort of the fun around this game, father-son relationship, and everything.
So it's threefold. My grandfather was also in the Air Force.
What?
So you guys have every angle of the CIC trophy covered. You guys are good.
But he flew B-52s over the Arctic Circle during the Cold War and all that stuff as well. So he was on constant rotation for whatever could happen. God, I love watching Buchanan run. That's a 6-foot fullback that weighs 260 pounds. That is a bowling ball. But also with my dad, whenever it came to recruiting, so I didn't know what the academies were until Coach Waugh, who I believe is still the slots coach at West Point, showed up at my in my coach's office and told me about West Point. And the first question you have is he's like, the Army plays football? But looked into it and had a couple other Division I AA offers, and then a preferred walk-on Clemson, gray shirt Virginia Tech. And my dad didn't say a single thing. He wanted me to make my own decision, and I see that play now. Christian Anderson, gone. And I love – that's another one right now. Like, these guys were freshmen my senior year, the seniors that you see now, and just seeing them carry the torch and then them bring the next generation of freshmen, that's what it's all about.
I'm getting texts from Danny Cannell, our co-host, asking me if I'm nervous about the over already, Chip.
Yeah. Well, I mean, quick scores, and that never really great for the over, but we still got to see if Navy's going to be able to score any points here. So, it's all about eliminating your will to compete, right? That's all we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I think it's time for Army and that offense to just, take the air out of the ball, maybe just run some clock. Let's not get crazy here, kids. Let's just keep this one low scoring.
Well,
if there's a prop bet for the amount of actual time for the game, I feel like that'd always be an interesting one.
I would bet the under on 3 hours.
Do you know what it is? Was it like 2:58 or 3:03 or something like that?
I'd assume less than that. That's including halftime and all the festivities to begin with. It's no game. One pass thrown.
So, Brett, we mentioned earlier your experience as a GA with the team. And by the way, I didn't even mention earlier, that was an 11-win season, which is just absolutely bananas and awesome. It's so cool that you were a part of it. You're also taking on some roles with the ROTC, which I'm hearing a lot of like leadership, which shocker, everything that you learn and everything that's instilled with you, coming up as a cadet, not a surprise to me, a layman, that you might be attracted to leadership. But I mean, is this something that you think as you play out like what the next like 5, 10, like what your future is, or are you looking to go into coaching, leadership, something along those lines?
I have no idea.
Hey, that's all right.
The NFL keeps you worried one day at a time. Next thing I'm thinking of, we report back on Monday and install the next game plan for the Redskins or for the Washington football team. But it is awesome being able to do the ROTC gig as well. It definitely keeps you grounded. I mean, guys in the league, you see it happen all the time. They kind of lose themselves, kind of get hyperinflated egos, carry off, and just feel like they're invincible. And it's really good to kind of get back to your roots. So like in this last off season, I was out doing field training exercises. We ended up going out, having to qualify on ranges, land nav, do different sim like activities where like they're doing search and rescue stuff. And it's reassuring because whatever I've learned, and again, it's very minimal to some of my peers as well, and especially guys in my year group, but I'm able to kind of pass that on to them, just tips and tricks, kind of emphasize to them what's important as well. Because the one thing about being an officer, you get too many people that get too focused on their own progression to where they lose sight of the main thing, which is caring about your subordinates. And I feel like that's one thing that my wife, who's actually in South Korea right now, deployed as well, she's definitely embodies that, where she's always worried about the people beneath her. Everyone knows that she has an open door policy, and a lot of people in the military, because it's such a tough environment, feel like they can't reach out whenever they're struggling. And she's also been really good about that with her subordinates as well.
That's cool. I bet you're really proud. I mean, what is she up to? I mean, you don't have to share. We're sitting here watching a football game, hanging out. But I'm just imagining that like that's got to be cool levels and layers and like a lot of meaning to that relationship.
Yeah, but I told her I'd give her a shout out as well, and I was talking about her. And I guess this will be the first time that she really gets to see me talk about her. But so we met at my first assignment, which is Bullock, out of after you commission. Met in Missouri, and again, she's been going all over the place while I'm switching in between teams. And so she's an engineer officer as well. She got put in as a Bradley PL, And then now she's progressed up to XO for a company, so she handles all the logistics. And you really see how good someone is at their job based on how many other people come to them that help them with their jobs. And it's just nonstop. I feel like I'm kind of in it with her. I'm just here to take the brunt of all the venting and stuff whenever she has a rough day. And it's like the least I can do to help. But she's got, I believe, 3 more months. So, well, actually, it just got extended. So the beginning of March before she comes back. So we're looking at about 3.5 months. So.
Yeah.
Nice. We do have a very significant development on the field. Sorry, spoiler, Brett. But as we go on to commercial because our line's hurt right now. No bueno for the mids if
not great
if
for
that's
Navy.
the case. But he came up. He looked a little bit angry. Walked off the field under his own power. So I would say that TBD on that status. You did get to watch that first drive, which, as we mentioned, was nothing but awesome things for Army. But did you see, like looking at the line of scrimmage, what you would want to see? Everything in terms of them being able to establish that edge right there in the trenches.
I think a big part is the first couple series. You kind of get a feel for a game. You can watch as much film as you want, but you've got to experience the guy across from you. And one way to kind of hedge against that, because a defensive lineman can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your set like procedures as an offensive player, progression through a play. This guy does this move. And so as you go through a game, you can kind of pattern match with it. But the one thing that helps against that kind of ambiguity at the beginning is just getting off the ball and attacking people. And I saw on the left side, there were a couple linemen that didn't leverage the linebacker, but they kept going. Hit the next guy, which kind of seems like a Neanderthal way to play.
They're hyped. They came out all fired up.
You never know when someone gets a one-on-one, they're going to miss. So at that point, if you get to the next guy that's unaccounted for, a play breaks. And Christian Anderson has the speed to do that.
Well, Brett, if you want to hang out, we're about to bring on Caleb Campbell. Do you know Caleb? Do you want to hang out and keep watching? You're free to go. I understand that you got family in town.
I let him do this thing as well. I haven't talked to Caleb Campbell as much. I know Colin Mooney I've talked with a bunch. Villanueva, obviously John Radigan. But Campbell was one that was, I think, far enough out to where our paths never crossed at West Point. And I believe while I was there, he was still in his playing years as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Towards the end, Colin Mooney started coming around, and I met him in a couple spring games. But I'll let him do his thing because he's got a whole different set for y'all to talk about.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for spending some time with us here on the Cover 3 watch party for Army-Navy. I hope you enjoy the rest of the game.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brett.
And as we mentioned, let's go ahead and bring on the man himself, Caleb Campbell. Welcome to the watch party, my friend. I'm Chip. That's Tom. Yeah. Thank you for taking some time to hang out with us today. Do you like what you've seen so far from the game?
I do. And first and foremost, thanks for having me. They didn't tell me I'd be the least handsome on this today. But I do. I love that fast start. Unfortunately, when I was playing, I feel like those roles were reversed with the Army-Navy game. But I do like what I'm seeing. Navy's picking up some momentum. So a hard stop here would be nice.
So, go ahead, Tom. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, we're seeing a lot of passes here in this game, far more than I was expecting this early. Like Army had one on its first snap. Now Navy's across midfield with one. We're getting an air raid offense all of a sudden.
That's what I would have given anything for. playing safety at West Point, right? I would have given anything for some balls in the air during these games.
So I wanted to ask you specifically about Andre Carter, because, I mean, he's sort of playing that like outside linebacker, safety kind of role. Yeah. When we were filling out our All-American ballots earlier this week, I mentioned to Tom that was somebody who showed up as, one of the linebackers when you had to list all of your linebackers for the best in the entire country. what have you seen out of him that's really stood out to you this season?
I have to be honest with you, first and foremost. I've been on the road a lot this season.
Okay.
I do a lot of keynote speaking, and I do a lot of student leadership conferences, and a lot of the conferences that I speak on are on the weekends, helping student leaders prioritize mental health. But from catching up, doing some research, phenomenal player, has great instincts, really has really great instincts. And what matters the most is if you can finish the play. And that's what I love seeing with him, is finishing the play. And so, yeah, so much potential and very talented.
Tell us more about your speaking and what you said.
Yeah.
You speak about leadership and mental health. Let's tell us more about that.
Yeah. So my time in the NFL, it surfaced a lot of pain. It surfaced a lot of things that I have suppressed for a long time in my life. And when I walked away from the game, I knew, oh, don't do it. We need a goal line stand here. So when I walked away from the game, I knew that it was time to go discover who Caleb Campbell really is apart from football. And that gave me the opportunity to do a lot of inner work, a lot of healing in that time period in my life when I walked away from the game and really did this work. It revolutionized my life in the most unimaginable ways. And so I've been able to, over the last 4 years, speak as a full-time professional keynote speaker inside of a lot of high schools, inside of a lot of college, and as well as corporations, just helping leaders, helping executives lead with vulnerability, how they can begin to live more emotionally honest lives so they can succeed and not lose themselves in the process. Because I'm sure you guys can attest to it too. I'm so sick and tired of watching the news come on and another great player, another great athlete, another great key figure that so many people look up to, we lose them to drugs or substance abuse. We lose them to suicide or whatever it might be. And so if I can create a safe space for student athletes and for leaders to take off of this metaphorical mask and just be more open and honest. Achievement pressure, it's a real thing, man. Achievement pressure is a real thing. When you find acceptance in your ability to perform, your biggest fear is not being enough. And if you're not able to confront that fear and go inward and look at it head on, that can create a lot of chaos in your life. And so that was my experience. And so now if I can create safe places for people to process that in a healthy, intentional way, we're winning, guys. We're really winning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Do you think that happened as like a contrast to your programming prior to getting out of the end? If your moment, your revelatory moment, if the moment when you really started to, discover that inward journey for yourself, do you think that was always something that you were slowly being driven to, or that you always were going to be on the course towards, even through high school, being at Army, like even on your way to the NFL?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. That's actually a brilliant question. And to answer it, I think I've always had this deep longing for more. There's always been this ache in my heart. And I started to realize early on that there was no amount of success that would satisfy the ache. But it was never about success. It was never about, it was about the great performance on the field. I'm not going to lie with that. It was. But there was something deeper driving me. And it was trying to satisfy this deep ache that I was living with. And so I think that has always been my path beyond football, regardless of what I was doing. I think I've been on this path of trying to better understand, what is this ache? Where is it leading me to? And essentially, how do I satisfy it? Can I satisfy it? What does it look like, more importantly, to accept it? And that right there has, nice hit. That right there has changed my life in a lot of ways, is just learning how to accept it. And so, yeah, we're trying to have this conversation and watch the game. So
yeah. No. Listen, it was something I was honestly interested in, but I was also like, are they going to overturn
that? Man, you know what I'm really jealous about with this game?
What's that?
Fact that it's 67 degrees out right now.
Yeah, see, it's way too nice, isn't it? Like it's December. It's not supposed to be this warm.
No.
What were some? Do you have a particular game from your experience from Army Navy that stands out, like a certain year where you mentioned whether it was the conditions or the outcome or anything like that stands out kind of as that first memory recall when someone brings up this rivalry?
Well, man, I don't know if this is one I want to share too often, but my freshman year, we were obviously, and I want to say if Brett Toth is still watching this, my man, we never really met. Come on, stop him. Nice.
Ooh, no! Got to finish.
Ugh. That was a great finish, though. We haven't met, Brett. I don't think we've met. If we have met, my apologies. I take a little offense to his comment with former teams that just weren't able to cut it.
Okay, we got some rivalry here.
I can tell you from my short time in the league and my time with football, looking back, man, you can have the best players, you can have the most talent. If it's not the right scheme, not the right synergy, not the right place, not the right team, not the right, just any, like, it's got so many stars have to align for these things to work well. And I think we're really seeing this, and I'm so excited because I can tell you one thing about playing with Army is, and I've asked some other guys from different teams the same question, but when Army wins, I can genuinely say I feel like I win. You know, I'm so thankful, and this is the thing that it's taken me a long time to get to this place, but my career in the league didn't necessarily turn out the way that I expected it to turn out, and I've always felt like football was this sore place in my heart, right? That this time in the league didn't really necessarily turn out the way I expected. And so all of my time playing football is kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It didn't make a difference, right? Because ultimately at the end of it all, the NFL didn't pan out the way I expected. But since Army's turned the corner, since I've seen this winning program, it's also kind of revitalized something in my heart. And I'm so forever thankful. And I think it speaks volumes to the rich tradition that we see in West Point and at West Point with Army football. And I say all that to go back to my original statement. The right people, right scheme, right place, right time, right coaching, it matters. And so I think we definitely could cut it. Our record didn't necessarily say it, but I would take my boys that I had the chance of playing with and line them up anytime.
Well, let's go back to, like, talking about the preparation for the game. Obviously, this is a huge game for both Army and for Navy. It's one of those things that, you know, you look forward to all season. But one of the things that's always fascinated me about Service Academy football for the players is if you go to, you know, Alabama or a major Power 5 program, the amount of work that a player has to put in to not only play football, practice football, prepare, but then also be in the classroom. You guys have to do all that same stuff. Yet there's also the entirely different level of, you know, being in a military academy. So, like, what were your days like while you were still enrolled and on the football team? Like, were you up before the crack of dawn every single day? And how did your day typically go?
I have so many answers to this. When I went to the NFL Combine, my roommate there was Jamie Silva, starting safety for Boston College. Great guy, had a great little stint in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. And my senior year, my first year when I was at the Combine, I think I was, I don't know, was it 18 hours, 19 hours that semester? I remember having this conversation, and I think he had 9.
And maybe one was an independent study. Like maybe he was getting 3 hours.
He was taking like a bowling class. Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Like in a week? Like, what are we talking about? But yeah, and to go back to your question, and that's no shade on Jamie. He's a great guy. I keep in touch with him. I love him. Great football player, really great football player. But you did, and I could the schedules were so hectic that there really wasn't any time for breaks. Honestly, like my wife today still has to tell me to slow down while eating. Because when we watched film in season was during lunch break. So we would get out of class early and just 5 minutes early, go to lunch. We would scoff our food down within 2 to 3 minutes and take whatever we could fit in our palms, in our hands. And then we'd walk up 8 flights of stairs because that's what you do at West Point. You walk up flights of stairs, and then we would watch film. And so for 4 years, I never fully chewed food.
It was fuel. It wasn't to be savored. It was just to get through the day.
So my wife is like, yo, Caleb, be present. Be with me here. Let's have a conversation and eat like normal people, okay? But I think it speaks volumes. Oh, man. Throw the flag.
Man. Oh, they can throw PI on that?
I thought they were, but no.
So
I think it speaks volumes
in Army Navy?
Yeah, right? I swear he didn't get his head back, so. And that guy was.
You could have thrown one there for sure.
Come on. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, he had it.
Yeah, he did have it. That would have been a good play. These uniforms are sick too.
Are you jealous that they didn't do this every year while you were there, like with the special uniforms? Because they are pretty sweet.
Of course.
They are so sweet. They are so sweet. Oh, keep throwing that ball though. Come on. I like it. Yes, get up the field.
Oh, here we go. This is unexpected, but I welcome it with open arms.
Yes.
We've got.
I feel like I'm going to lose my underbet here. That's just the feeling that I have right now. Way too much explosive and aggressiveness from both teams early here.
Yeah, we're midway through the first quarter, and both teams are already like flirting with like the total number of completions or attempts these teams average on the year.
On the year right now. So yeah, to answer the last thing I'll say to that question is every Friday before we left the stadium to either go to the home hotel or we headed to the airport, 9 times out of 10, every athlete, and I know definitely me, when we got on the buses to either head to the hotel or head to the airport, I would be asleep before the buses left the parking lot.
You got to get it where you can.
Because you're just running on sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. You just try to. Yeah, it's like, hey, there's nothing else. You don't need anything else from me. Okay, night.
But no, that like I said, that was always one of the things that fascinates me because you think of all the work it goes in just to be, a cadet at West Point, and then you have to tack on being a football player responsibilities on top of all that. It's just like I don't think I could have handled that at all.
And Brett's right. Like we weren't winning during that time. And so any sort of special treatment the football players would have gotten, like leaving class 5 minutes early or whatever it might have been, it was scoffed at. Mm-hmm. It was kind of seen as a different, like, why are they getting, special favors when they are not necessarily winning? Like, what's this all about? And so because there wasn't a winning tradition there, it was hard to make actual big cultural moves. Mm-hmm. Without seeing the core of cadets, and this divide between core athletes and cadets just continue to grow further and further apart. So I know, like my senior year when I was a captain, we tried to do a lot of things in regards to trying to close that gap between core athletes and cadets. And I don't know how much room we made. I think the approach to it in and of itself was probably a little bit flawed. But I think that's a beautiful thing about having any sort of real drastic change in your life. Change creates opportunities to make shifts, right? And it's these small, little, subtle shifts, whether we're talking about on the football field or we're talking about in the game of life, when we can actually create small, little, subtle shifts, right, we can really alter the course and the trajectory of our lives. And I think that's what we're seeing with this team and with the Monken era.
Yeah, have you gotten a chance to spend some time with Jeff Monken?
I actually haven't. I got a chance to go back a few years ago, I think for the spring game. And that was my first time interacting with him. I love his energy. I love his intensity. I think this is what I love the most is watching the respect in the players' eyes. Watching them see, and like I can see Monken in the reflection of the players' eyes, and it tells me everything I need to know about Coach. And I think that's powerful. That's really powerful.
It's been wild to watch the program undergo this shift and like, set kind of like program history, in the last half decade, and to be able to, be so competitive, not only winning 4 out of 5 against Navy, and bringing like something that I'm not going to be able to speak from the opinion of West Point, but conversations with Brett, the kind of research I've done, it sounds like some of that success on the football field has changed the relationship from the core athletes and the cadets, and the way that the entire campus sort of embraces, making the rivalry more than just something that we can play up in a montage as we lead into the game, but people really are walking around like beat Navy is just like top of mind all the time. I think that's something that for a head coach who decides to take on that opportunity coming from Georgia Southern, you're not stepping necessarily outside of any kind of comfort zone, but you're embracing a responsibility unlike anything else that you have in any other major FBS job.
Yeah, absolutely. The winner's mindset, when you speak the language of winning, it pervades into every area of your life, whether you're on the field or a part of the winning. If you're just in like that centrally located area, right? If you're around this winning experience, it is going to shape your life. Just the way if you're around this losing experience, it's going to shape your life no matter what. And so just watching Monken come in, take that responsibility, make the changes that he needs to make, earn the respect of the players, and just completely shift the trajectory of this program. That's the language of just winning. And it's beautiful. And whether you're on that field or not, everyone can adopt that language and apply it to their own lives in their own way. And I think that's the power of what Monken has done that's transcended the football field. And we see it, right? When you walk into the football stadium at Mikey Stadium, give me a football player for a secret and dangerous mission. Give me an Army or West Point football player. Give me a soldier for a secret and dangerous mission. Give me a West Point football player. This is what we're talking about. Or we can see the quote, I can't remember off the top of my head, but on the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that upon other fields on other days will bear the fruits of victory. Right? It's this winning culture. It's this winning experience that they are cultivating on that football field. It's being carried over and it's overflowing into just the program, and anybody and everybody that's part of West Point. They're experiencing the effects of it. And that's beautiful because that speaks volumes to the power of the sport.
Now, there have been a lot of obviously players from the Army, Navy, Air Force who've ended up in the NFL and played professionally, like including Brett, who we were just talking with a few minutes ago. But you are the last player from Army to be drafted. You were taken in the 2008 draft by the Detroit Lions. What was that like, hearing your name called in the NFL draft?
Man, that'll make me tear up. Nobody can ever take that from me. Yeah, nobody can ever take that from me. It's taken me a long time, gentlemen, to actually go back and to appreciate that season of my life and to say you did it. You did it, because for the longest time when I would look through that lens, I would see somebody that career didn't pan out the way he expected it to, right? And it would undermine the magnitude of that moment. But through a lot of healing, I've been able to look back and really appreciate that moment for what it is in and of itself. And it's something that nobody could ever take away from me. It was a time, I'll say that, it was a time of great uncertainty and a lot of tension. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of things being communicated in different ways with different people at different times. And so I still today don't really have a straight answer at what happened during that season or during that time, but getting drafted was, and the great thing about it is my best friend, who was also the starting free safety, Jordan Murray, who played next to me for 4 years, who I would argue was just as good, if not better than me. I think a lot of my success on the football field was because of Jordan and the threat that he posed on that team. Oh man,
who's down? Is that Buchanan?
Yeah, I think so.
It is. No. It's Adkins. 23.
Adkins,
yeah. 23. It looked like that looked a little dirty, right?
That's when they threw a flag, didn't they? For that, they threw a flag.
Looked like there's a little hanging on. We might get a little. The camera moved away. Come on, guys. Let's see.
Yeah, they're holding. Look, he's holding the ankle.
Yeah, that's. Just playing football. That's all that is.
This is probably a bad look, but I got ejected from the Baylor game because of that.
Did you gator roll a guy?
No, me and the starting tight end, man, I was feisty back in the day. Now I have like a heart of compassion, and I would look at him and be like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" But against Baylor, me and this tight end, we were just going at it the whole game. And they had scored a touchdown, and we were going after the extra point, and I was coming off the end, and I just completely pancaked him. And when I pancaked him, I was getting up off of him and yelling a few things, towards him.
Good day, sir.
He grabbed my ankle, and he wouldn't let me go, and he tried to twist my ankle. And so I ripped my ankle out, and then I happened to just forcibly put my foot back down on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And the ref definitely caught the last experience, and I got tossed.
That's a pretty natural reaction when somebody's doing that to you, though. It's like,
yeah, it is.
Ooh.
Oh,
So the way closer to the boundary, we had another little scuffle on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. Heated. It's getting heated.
It is going to get delayed. I think it's going to be a good football game. I'm watching from Milwaukee, so I'm going to try to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'm going to try to find a watch party after this.
Oh, you'll be able to find one.
Yeah,
Milwaukee's a fun town.
What you are you speaking this weekend? You got an event?
I spoke this morning actually. So yeah, I let all the student leaders know. Go Army, beat Navy.
Yeah. How'd it go?
It went well. Thank you. Yeah, it went really well. I'm transitioning out of schools and speaking to high school leaders and college leaders and making my way more into corporate America. But my time working with student leaders and student athletes has been meaningful and impactful for all the reasons why I said earlier. Just giving them the safe space and the opportunity to talk more openly and honestly about the pressures and the onslaught of uncomfortable emotions that come when we don't actually vocalize the pressures that we're dealing with in our lives.
Hey, in another lifetime, sliding doors. If you were talking to the North Carolina Association of Student Councils, I could have been there. I could have been in the audience back in like 2002, bro. Like you could have seen me.
I love it. I love it. Get off the field. Who else do you guys got coming on today?
All right, let's see.
We've got Colin Mooney. We've got Radigan coming.
Oh yes.
You got
I love Colin.
You got anything? Any messages you want to pass along?
Man, Colin is. I don't know. I mean, I just know Colin. I think out of I don't know anyone else that you haven't come on. I haven't really met them personally. Colin's a warrior, man. Truly a warrior. Similar to Mike Vitti, when my classmate, there was just something about Colin, and he married into the Millen family, and there were a lot of eyes on him when that and everything. And it was similar to my experience getting drafted by the Lions and also playing with Marcus Millen, and everybody thinking, just because I was playing with Millen, that's why I got, drafted into the NFL, so on and so forth. And I don't care what you really think, but I think Colin has he's really rose to the occasion in so many areas of his life. He is a stellar example of just excellence all around the board. Just an incredible football player. Seems like, just beautiful family. Seems like an incredible father. And even the work that he is doing now, it's truly special. And so I honor him. And it was a privilege to share a few years on the field with him.
Who's this? Who's injured now? Tyrell Robinson?
Yeah.
Getting a lot of guys banged up here.
We'll after this drive, Caleb, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for taking some time with us. Any other lingering thoughts on either this game or even your time?
I don't know about this game. I'm excited to see how this game unfolds. Out of everything I've done in my life, still today, like, a bunch of us all met up at Air Force or for the Air Force game in Dallas. Yeah, nice guys. Like that little post-kick celebration there. There's still nothing that compares. Even though we didn't have the greatest winning record. I mean, my best friend Jordan Murray, who was with me on draft. That's what I was trying to say. He was with me with the draft when I got drafted, and he was the best man in my wedding. And it just all the guys that I played with, so many memories, and we're still just like it was yesterday. We're still rolling strong, and I think that just speaks volumes to who we are. And the great thing about this, gentlemen, is like we've gone so many different life paths. You know, I took a completely different route when I got done with the NFL. I moved to Canada, became a janitor of a church, slept on the basement floor for 5 years to get help, to go through some things, And we did not take the same traditional routes. I took a completely different route, but they are able to sit there and to honor the choices that I've made, and it hasn't like jeopardized our friendships because we carry such a deep bond. We carry such a deep bond, and I think that is the overall experience for so many of these guys that you're watching on the field, and it's just really a testament to their character and to the things that are really forged inside of you as you're playing each down on this field that transcend the game of football. So it was a privilege.
Awesome. Well, we've got tons of people that are watching live right now, and this is going to live on YouTube. So if anybody's out there in corporate America and you're looking for somebody to come and get you inspired and get all your employees inspired, reach out to us. We've got Caleb Campbell's information. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us here on the Army-Navy Watch Party.
Thank you. You guys, bless you so much, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Caleb. And thank you to Caleb and, of course, all of our guests here today. It is this whole show is brought to you by the U.S. Army. What's Your Warrior? Discover over 200 roles at GoArmy.com. Brett Toth, Caleb Campbell. We got way too much scoring in this game.
There's way too many points in this game.
Way too many points in this. We're probably going to spend a lot of time sweating. We've already seen the comments about the beads of sweat that are coming down as, the true, the lock war fighters over here on the under are staring at 17, meaning that before the end of the first quarter, we're about midway to where we need to be. But we can make this better. For those of you that are with us and also on the under, there's an opportunity for you to get yourself some swag. So if we hit 100 likes, we will give away a Cover 3 t-shirt to someone in the chat, no matter whether you're on the over or the under. If you're on the over, then maybe you get to feel a little bit better and have a t-shirt. If you're on the under, maybe this can make you feel better about the sweats that are coming here in the second half. 100 likes, free Cover 3 t-shirt to someone in the chat. So make sure you jump on that. What is the what's the live line looking like?
That's what I was about to check. And Coca, by the way, if anybody in the chat says that they are on the over, ban them from the chat. We do not want them here.
I think we're already at 100. So let's start dropping your Twitter handles and make sure that you're following the Cover 3 podcast on Twitter. Coca will pick someone and reach out to them and make sure to get their t-shirt.
The live total's at 44.5, Chip. Not great. It's never good to be about 10 points over
where you started
at the end of the first quarter. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
There's a lot of game left. Navy came up big there defensively in the red zone, held them to a field goal. We need a few more of those. Maybe get some more punts. I'd like to see, Army's averaging 7 yards per play, Navy's averaging 9.4. That's got to come down, right?
It will 100% come down. I think that the thing that stands out to me so far has been that if you really were expecting, Army to be able to, exact its will, sort of like, take control of this game, that doesn't look like what's happened. I mean, this absolutely has every bit of a back and forth type affair. Now, whether that's a high scoring back and forth type affair or whether that's one that does end up in being a little bit more of the field position battle, so far what I've seen here has been that Navy is 100% up for the challenge and not interested in its record, not interested in the point spread, and not interested in the fact that it's lost 4 out of the last 5 in this series. It's especially offensively had a little bit more success than I think I was expecting.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting game so far, but we've seen a lot too, not just in this game, but in every single game. Teams typically early in the game, their first possessions, everything's all scripted. Once you get off script, let's see how it goes. And both of these teams are going to be off script soon if they aren't already. But another thing that has stood out to me so far in this game, we talked about this when we were on HQ yesterday. They asked us who had the better uniforms. Army's uniforms look better on the field than I thought they looked in the photos that were in the release. Like I still think Navy's are better because those Navy helmets are just, they're phenomenal. They're sweet. But I think that in practice on the field, these Army ones look better than they did in the press release. So maybe they just had a bad photographer. I don't know, but it looks great out there.
All right. Well, let's have some fun with the chat out here. So the first quarter is over. Everyone's gotten a chance to see the first 15 minutes of action. So right now, as the score sits at 10-7, we want to know, you who are watching, who's going to win this game. So let us know. Type Army if you think Army's going to win. Type Navy if you think Navy's going to win. We want to get a little sampling of where the chat's at and seeing what y'all are thinking based on the first quarter of play. Give us Army if you think Army will hold on and win. Give us Navy if you think that Navy will win.
And hopefully the under will still win. That's who I'm rooting for. Always.
Yeah, there's no ties. Yeah, much love to you, Matt, but we're not going to have a tie.
Matt just wants everybody to have fun.
Listen, if we have
I just want everybody to enjoy themselves, and we'll get some orange slices.
I will say, if there are two teams that are prepared for 9 overtimes, it's Army and Navy. They should call this second down.
Well, see, that's kind of scary, though, because if Army and Navy do get to overtime and they do get to that 2-point conversion battle, who's losing? Like, that could go on forever.
Navy's losing.
Really? Oh, wow. You've been crunching the numbers. You understand that Navy's efficiency inside the 3-yard line has not been nearly as good as that of Army.
Tom, I've been running the Chipalytics, and I sincerely believe that this is going to be an opportunity where you are going to see Army have the advantage when we get into the 7th overtime.
What if it goes 7 overtimes and the under wins? Wouldn't that be the greatest thing that's ever happened?
That means it's got to be stalling, right? Because when we saw Penn State and Illinois go 9 overtimes and the under still cashed beautifully, then that was definitely the case right there.
One of the greatest football games of all time: Illinois, Penn State, and 9 overtimes.
That it's actually true. They're going to redo. I think that Bill Connolly is going to also write a book. He did like the 50 greatest teams of all time. He's going to do the greatest games of all time, and he's going to have Illinois and Penn State up there. We mentioned earlier in the show the CIC trophy. That is the Commander-in-Chief trophy. And if you're hanging out here and you have not been familiar with such, it is the competition between Army, Navy, and Air Force. So far, Army has beaten Air Force 21-14 in singular overtime. And then Air Force beat Navy 23-3. So here are the stakes. If Army wins this game, as it leads 10-7 in the early second quarter, then it will win the Commander-in-Chief trophy. If Navy wins, then Army will retain the trophy, as all three teams will be 1-1 against each other. And check this out. I found this was interesting. The retain type share situation, stalemate, everyone goes 1-1, hasn't happened since 1993. Some of that might be that Navy dominance, that 14-year run that, of course, we've referenced earlier in this show. But, for Army's case, as it will either retain or win the Commander-in-Chief trophy based on this outcome, it is a big reversal of the tide. From 1997 to 2016, every Commander-in-Chief trophy was won by either Air Force 10 or Navy with 10. And Army, of course, not being able to claim any of those. That has certainly changed in recent years.
So has parity come to the Commander-in-Chief's trophy?
I think so. I think that Air Force needs to step its game up.
I mean, I do think it'd be fitting that of this year, the year where, neither Clemson, Oklahoma, or Ohio State reached college football playoff after being there every single year, for there to be a split in the CIC trophy as well would make a lot of sense.
The general parity, I'll tell you why we don't need to expand the college football playoff. We got ties in the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you need more teams in the playoff for?
Oh man.
All right, so we've got Navy buried deep within their own territory here.
What does the chart say about going for it on 4th and 4 deep in your own territory?
It probably says punt. I don't know. Bud's not here. He knows. Bud just runs that math in his head like instantaneously. But I was kind of hoping we can get another first down, get out past the 20 before the Navy had to punt. Because, it's like that's one of the things when it comes to like betting an under. When it gets to the field position game, yeah, it's good to trade punts. But if one team is buried too deep within its own territory, that means the other team's getting excellent field position, which raises their ability of scoring points. You'd kind of just like to see the ball going back and forth from 120 to the other.
Oh, no. Did you jump off sides?
Did they? I'm a little bit behind you.
No timeouts. That's it. Third and final timeout for the Mids.
Surely it's only the first half. That can't be that big of a deal for you, but it might affect some end of the first half kind of scoring situations for the Mids.
Yeah, it might mean that clock keeps burning.
That's what really matters. Yes,
that's what really matters here. As you look at Navy, like when we project out in the American Athletic Conference and we look at the way that conference is going to shift and so much conference realignment that's coming, is Navy going to be able to find some solid footing? Because it's been an interesting story. Like they were literally competing for conference championships not all that long ago in the American. Obviously, it has not gone well for the Mids this year, and really over the last 2 years. Last year was just so tough. I mean, from the BYU game all the way through. But now with a little bit of turnover, as we're going to have, some teams, joining the conference from elsewhere, you think that Navy's going to be able to position itself such that being one of the remaining members of the old league, it can be in the top tier? I mean, what do you see that competition looking like as the AAC has a ton of fluidity coming in the next 3, 4, 5 seasons?
Yeah, so to be clear to anybody who doesn't know, obviously Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, who all finished first, second, and third in the conference this year, are moving on, and they will be joining the Big 12 at some point. Do we have a set date on that yet?
No, we do not.
Right.
We believe it will be 2024, but it could be 2023. I'm almost positive it won't be 2022.
Yeah, I would guess it'll be 2023 because it'll be awkward for all those teams to just stay in their current conferences when everybody knows they're leaving. But I do think that, like, if Navy's been able to compete in the conference with those programs in it, I do think that it will still be able to do it. It kind of reminds me of a Georgia Tech situation. We have seen that in conferences before, with Georgia Tech in the ACC Coastal when Paul Johnson was there and running the option. It's really difficult to win conference titles. It's really difficult to, have 10, 11, 12 win seasons running an option in a conference like that. But you can have plenty of success. You can win your division. You can get to the conference title game. So I think that this is a Navy program that it's 2 down years in a row, which is very much out of line with what Ken Niumatalolo's tenure has been in Annapolis. But it's also important to remember, like last year with COVID, this was a program like we saw early in the season. They were getting run all over, and as Ken Niumatalolo was telling us, like they weren't able to tackle in practice because of like regulations and the COVID restrictions and all this stuff. So they were pretty much out there getting scrimmages against teams that were ready to go, and they were getting killed. And I think that had a huge impact on last season. And honestly, it's probably had somewhat of an impact on this year. So I don't think what we've seen from Navy the last 2 years is what that program is or what the future is going to be. I think that we've seen, you get a Keenan Reynolds, you get a Malcolm Perry in there, Navy's really good. And I think that's pretty much the situation. If they get a quarterback in there, they're going to be good again.
It'll be tough. I mean, it's just one of those, everything's shifting. You want to make sure that you have a good season. But the one thing that Navy does have is I don't think that we are dealing with the same transfer portal situation that you would in other programs. Listen, bro, if you're committed to being at the Naval Academy, or at Army, like same situation with both of these, your commitment to the duty, to the job goes so much further than the standard commitment to a college football program.
Yeah, no, you can't just leave the Navy and go play a season at Ohio State.
Okay. Let's go tick, 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 tick.
Tick, tick. Run that clock, boys. Come on. There's been too many injuries. We don't want anybody else getting hurt. Let's play it safe. We got a country to protect. Let's not hurt ourselves out here.
Let's be gentlemen out here. All right. So from Ken Niumatalolo over to Jeff Monken, at Georgia Southern, was very, very successful there. And it's so interesting because both Brett Toth and Caleb Campbell talked about that winning culture. And I mean, that really was what Jeff Monken brought. He said, look, I know what it's like to compete for championships. I know what it's like to, be the top dog, be the alpha among your peers, and to instill that into everything is so important. He's 56-42 overall, and he is the first head coach to lead Army to 3 straight bowl appearances, doing it in 2016, 2017, and 2018. He's the first head coach to lead Army back-to-back 10-win seasons, and that 11-2 mark in 2018 was the first ever 11-win season at Army in program history and the highest AP poll finish since 1958. You have been an advocate for Jeff Monken to be a head coaching candidate for multiple jobs, including beloved Illinois, including most recently Duke. But he remains there at Army. How lucky is Army to be able to continue to have him here? And, what are some more of those pieces? And can you elaborate on one of the reasons why you think that he is such an attractive candidate, not only to be able to lead, any other job, but what makes it work so well at a place like Army?
Well, I think that, as Brett mentioned, when we talked to him about Monken, there is the culture that he instilled. And I think that when you come to a service academy, like so much of the military and what it does is about culture and it's about discipline. And I think Monken fits there because he brought that same kind of atmosphere, but he put it in a football context where, to be able to have success in the football field, you probably not exactly the same, but I would say that the cadets are probably approaching their roles as football players in the same way they're doing it as officers or cadets. And I think that it's an easy transition, and just Monken's football background and intelligence, I think, was the other finishing touch because of his time at Georgia Southern. Like, I know now that Georgia Southern's in the Sun Belt, we don't really think of it as a powerful program, but before they made the move to the FBS level, when he was there coaching them in the Southern Conference, they were an FCS power. They were winning conference titles. They were getting to the playoffs. They were getting to the semifinals numerous times. So he was able to bring that kind of culture and instill it with the football know-how that I think has helped turn Army into what it is. And it's part of the reason why I think that he would be successful somewhere else if other programs were more willing to run, to hire him and kind of push aside the fear of running the option, or maybe it's not as attractive to fans. But Monken himself has said, if he were to leave Army for another job, he wouldn't necessarily be running the triple option. And we have seen across the country, while it's not a flex bone like Paul Johnson was running at Georgia Tech, or, like Nebraska did, or Oklahoma did under Barry Switzer, when all those teams were winning national titles, running the option.
By the way.
Yeah. But look at Coastal Carolina. That's an option offense. It doesn't look like the same kind you see when you're watching this game right now, but it is an option offense. You look at Alabama, Chip. What was Tua running? RPOs. An RPO is a triple option play. It's just got passing elements to it. Tua would get the snap. There would be the first read. If that, depending on what the read was, what defender he was reading, he would hand it off, or he would keep it, and then he would either roll out and make a pass, or he would just make the pass directly. And it kind of sounds like a triple option. When you fake the dive to the fullback, you start running out, and then you pitch. Well, what's the difference between a pass bubble screen and a pitch? There really isn't one. It's just the way that it's dressed up and the way that it looks. It's all the same principles, and we have seen that taking over in college football across, air raids are no longer air raids. Like, Mike Leach is the only coach really in the air raid tree that is just running a pure air raid where it's just throw, short passes. It's an extension of the run game with short passes to the running backs. most of these things now have brought in a whole lot more triple option influences to them than I think most people realize as far as what players' reads are and options are for the first game. It's just dressed differently in different formations and with different athletes, because that's the one thing when you're at Army and Navy, like, you can't recruit a 6'8", 300-pound guy to play on your offensive line at Navy because that guy's got to fit on a submarine. You know what I mean? So you're kind of limited by what you could do, but the concepts are all the same.
Have you used that joke before? You can't.
No, but it's not even a joke.
True.
It's just reality. Like when you're like Ken Niumatalolo, there might be like a giant 320-pound left tackle that could be the first pick in the NFL draft that wants to enroll in the Navy, but he can't take him because he doesn't.
That man's got to fit on a submarine.
Yes, or even in the Army, you can't. There are limitations, and it affects who they're able to recruit, and that's part of the reason why these offenses are run, because you can't get those giant linemen, so you need to negate that advantage that other teams have by running this option and doing all the cut blocking and all that kind of stuff to try to take away their legs from them, so that way they can't use their athletic or their size advantage.
So the chat was loving it, and I'm sure you saw it too. But if you're behind, and I think that time out, you're watching like on cable, right?
I am watching on CBS.
CBS. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I'm watching via cable.
Yeah. So we're as fast as it's going to get. Brett was literally a drive behind us. I was celebrating the opening touchdown of the game, and he was like, "I'm at kickoff."
Brett was like on a Reddit stream or something, you know?
Yeah. I think we need to talk about that punt because
it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I mean, he put some spin on it. That thing looked like it was headed towards the end zone. It popped up. It bounced back. They were able to pin Navy inside the 5-yard line. And now Navy, as I'm looking at it right now, will be facing a 3rd and 5 deep in their own territory. As again, like, one of the big headlines of this game is the fact that our line went out with an injury. And while we've seen him on the sideline, I've been engaged. Like, Caleb Campbell was tremendous. Brett Tuth was tremendous. We still have more guests to come. I haven't seen him back in the game.
No.
Right?
No, I haven't seen it either. And maybe our listeners have been able to find out if there's been any update on our line. But, Lavatai's been the guy for most of the season. So I don't think it's that big of a deal or that huge of a drop off. I think that just right now, Navy's losing that field position battle, like we talked about. Like, this is the land grab kind of analogy we've been using all week. Like, Army's grabbing that land. Navy's trying to get it back, but they've been buried. And this is a huge, possession here, because the Army offense has been very efficient this year. And if you keep giving it excellent field position at midfield, sooner or later, they're going to be up 2 scores on you. So it's important for Navy to get a first down soon here and start moving the ball out closer to midfield.
Yeah, right now I've got, do you have stat broadcast up?
Yeah.
Are your Army and Navy logos switched?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, what the heck? Sorry to call you out, stat broadcast, here for an audience of millions.
A wonderful product we could not live without.
A wonderful product that we could not live without, just to be clear. So, yeah, right now I've got Army at 8.2 yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That ain't sustainable, my friends.
No.
Not good for the mids. Nearly got a pump blocked right there.
Oh, wow. That was the angle on that snap. The camera angle was terrifying because you could see that snap was going high and wide.
Very, very close to a punt block. So far, let's see. What else is Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the live total's down to 41, so we're going in the right direction.
Everybody got all hot. Actually, let's go ahead and let's have some more fun with the chat while we're sitting here at a commercial break. So I've already heard, saw someone check in with that. They said they were representing Barton Simmons and the Over Army. Obviously, some people are, all with us on the right side of history with the under in a service academy game, as you should be. So let's find out from the chat, over or under, what side are you on? And we're not taking the live number. Bud's Brigade is in the house as well. somebody representing Danny, I'm sure. So
Danny's turtlenecks.
Danny's turtlenecks, Bud's brigade, all the enemies of the unders right here. So what are you on for this game at 34.5, 35, 35.5, 34, over or under? Fill up the chat. Let's see what you're at so we can know what our rooting interests are like as a community as we sit here. Not your guess, but maybe what you had going into it before the game. Let's see, over or under. Anybody on Danny's 2-for-1 special? DK, fill it up, either over or under. We talked about the total all week on the Cover 3 podcast. We want to be seeing what you got. Love to see all the unders fill up right now.
It's filling my heart with pride.
It is.
Except for CFB Connor. What get out of here. Oh, look at Evan Rosen. He's been live. Oh, Evan, I love you.
Well, I'll call up Evan right now since you said it. So, yeah, he did exactly what you said that you were going to be doing, which is, yeah, we're going to get in on the initial. And then when we see it jump because someone's going to score too early, we're going to come back and we're going to hammer the under again. And then it's going to jump and we're going to hammer the under again.
I have, since we've started, I have put in under 44.5, and I'm on under 41.5 as well. Over 58 alt spread. RJ,
you're a regular here. I think you're just trying to troll us. Yeah. I see that. I see you, RJ. Yeah. You're just trying to make us laugh. You did.
I keep doing that. You're going to go from RJ money to RJ broke real fast.
Can I just say how ridiculous it is that I can't bet on this game being in Jersey?
Because it's in Jersey.
Like
that's
sitting here, but I'm just
Coca in the house.
I'm just like sitting here reading the chat and everybody's having fun. And I'm just like, yeah, cool guys. Wonderful. Yeah, the under. Love it. Love to see it. Oh, alt lines. Oh, in-game bets. That's wonderful. Cool. Yeah, trust the process. Yeah, trusting it. So I'm just sitting here with the game on my phone like a loser fan.
Do you want me to play some bets for you, Matthew?
No, I want to place my own bets on this game. Like, I want to feel good. I want to feel like chat.
Send me money, pay me in crypto, and I'll place some bets for you.
Yes, chat. This is me. They need
this is your Cover 3 debut, isn't it? On screen.
Yeah, I felt like you guys needed me right here. You needed the Jersey product. I was telling Chip before that, like, I live a couple minutes away from the stadium, and when you guys were interviewing Brett, the jets were flying over. I couldn't hear the stream at all. My mom texted me, and she's like, "Are we under attack?" I'm like, "Mom, like, no, calm down. We're not under attack. They're doing some flyovers right now.
The Russians are coming for New Jersey. They know it's the heart of the country."
I feel just like Brett, where I'm watching this game on my phone, watching the stream. And I'm like 3 plays behind you guys, just like waiting patiently.
Chip is ahead of me. Chip, you're in the future compared to us.
Yeah, but he's at Jim Nance's house.
Yeah, exactly.
He has the truck broadcast.
Keep waiting for Jim just to wander in a half zip polo and with a glass of Merlot in his hand, like, oh, hey, hello, friends.
If Parker walks in from the spa and still has a robe on, I'm gonna lose it. That's the only way I could pull this off. I was like, yeah, no, it's all right. We're still going to Pinehurst. Yeah, I'm gonna be on a 4-hour live stream, but yeah, why don't you go to the spa for a little bit?
Were you guys concerned after the first 2 drives about this under?
Yeah,
oh yeah,
of course, absolutely.
Like, did you now that we see how the game is going, is this how you guys sort of thought the game was going to play out?
Yeah, no. I mean, this is. I've been surprised by the amount of passes this early. Like, I'm not too surprised because you'd think you're going to try some crazy stuff that the other team's not expecting. So from that perspective, but I was really surprised by how easily Navy was able to move the ball on that first possession of theirs, because that is not something Navy has had a whole lot of success doing this year. And I thought going against an Army defense that was so well prepared for them so that was somewhat surprising. But we've kind of seen both defenses settle. I feel like the game kind of changed a little bit when Army on its second possession drove right down the field, and then Navy kind of stood firm in the red zone there. We've seen things kind of slow down a lot since then. I think maybe Navy got a little bit of confidence from that and realized, hey, you know what? We can stop these guys. We can win this game.
It was pouring this morning up here. And then I'd say like 2 hours before kickoff, it sort of stopped. So, I mean, they were talking about how the temperatures are around like the 60s. Do you think, you know, it was just like a messy field to start things up? People are tripping all over themselves. Like now we've seen, you know, real plays. We've seen sacks. We've seen tackles in the backfield. We haven't seen them throw the ball at all anymore.
I like Tom's call about the game script, especially with those passes where they were like, you've got all that stuff that's been locked and loaded in the game. Like you've been
working on it all week.
You've been working on it all week. You found out that like their defense is going to react to certain looks and give you these opportunities to spring these explosive plays. And now we've gotten that past the 15th play, you know, not to be like overly basic about it, but now that we've gotten off script, things have settled a little bit more into the traditional battle that we're used to.
I'm going to jump out because Colin's
in the house,
and he's somebody that you guys probably really want to talk to, and you don't want to talk to me anymore. So I'll jump out here. I'll let Colin Mooney back in here, and I'll join a little later.
Yeah, because I got to go to the bathroom at some point.
Colin,
what's up, Colin Mooney? Hey!
We are. We got the whole crew here.
Whole crew in the house as Colin Mooney joins the Army Navy watch party, brought to you by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 roles at goarmy.com. Colin, thoughts so far on what you've seen from the game?
It's looking good. You know, after that first series, I thought it'd be, you know, a little bigger differential in the score, but yeah, they're keeping it close, and you know, it's looking good. One thing I have noticed, I like the fullbacks are doing a lot of fullback type stuff, not like triple option type stuff, but like traditional fullback stuff, which is fun to see. I mean, it's just sorry, we got too many kids here. So it's not like a ton, but I saw a Cade catch a pass in the flat, and I've seen some good blocking out of the fullback. So that's fun to see, at least for me. I don't know if anyone else watches that, but
they've been getting to this. No, they're getting to the second level. They're getting some good blocks in there.
Yeah.
What's the what has the season been like for you? Have you gotten a chance to watch much throughout the year and keep up?
As much as I can, yeah. If I'm watching any college football, it's the Army games. You know, time has been pretty tight this year. So I started medical school a couple years ago, and so I'm in my second year, and so I'm like constantly studying all the time. So I'll at least take a couple hours to watch the game, watch the Army game, at least keep up with them.
So what's more time consuming? Was it your time as a cadet having to play football, or is it now being in medical school with 2 children?
Three. That's all 3, right?
There's 3 of them. Yeah. It's a different time demand for sure. So right now with medical school, I mean, it's constant. I mean, you're constantly studying for something and preparing for something, and that's how West Point was. But I didn't have the other, you know, West Point, I didn't have the responsibilities of being a dad. So you know, it's just different things pointing in different directions, and I think West Point really prepared me for, you know, where I'm at now. So you know, it's been helpful.
Another big pass.
We had Caleb Campbell on earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and his one word. I mean, I am isolating this, but the first word out of his mouth when we mentioned you were coming on later was warrior.
Warrior.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he spoke glowingly, and like clearly, like from your playing career, like just being able to just like rack up the yards, the statistics, and the performances really speak for themselves in terms of just being, you know, relentless and being willing to really embrace that role, you know, within the offense. What are some of the things that stand out to you about your own playing days and playing career?
Well, I mean, that's really nice of Caleb to say. Caleb's a great guy, and he's got a great story, and I'm glad that he's using it in the way that he is now. You know, my playing time there, it was very similar to John Radigan. I didn't really get an opportunity until my senior year. I mean, I was behind Mike Vitti, who's a much better fullback than I am, for my time until I was a senior. And it was kind of, I think Brett touched on it too, about, being the last guy in the room, like the attrition rate being so high.
Locker number 155 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was like the last fullback that we came in, like 20 of them. So, I kind of got the job, just by default, basically. And so that was the first year that we went back to the option. So that my senior year was the first year that we went back to the triple option. And that was kind of set the stage for, what was to come, with what they're doing now. But when we started, it was very simple. I mean, we really, we weren't recruited for that offense. I wasn't recruited as a triple option fullback. I hadn't even touched the ball. Maybe one other time. I'd got one other carry against like VMI when we were up by like 63. I got a carry, but that was about it. So it was interesting to go into that, and it was a much simpler form than what they're doing now. The thing was, fight for 4, like get 4 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And I think, offensive line, our offense, I think we understood the assignment. Like if you can get 4 yards, like you're good. So basically people say like, oh, you did this and that and, records and whatever, but I didn't, honestly, I really didn't do much. Like I just ran straight. And it was like, sometimes things happen. Like that was about it. So, like people give me too much credit. Like we had linemen that were firing off the ball. People were doing their job, and I basically hid behind Ali Villanueva for a season, and got some good yards out of it. So, yeah.
You're so selfless. Oh, Colin. So
selfless. No, I'm serious. Like people like all I had to do was run. Like it was very simple at that time. So
you're being very humble for somebody who is. For those who don't know, Colin is the all-time single season rushing yard record at Army. You rushed for 1,339 yards. So you might have only been the starter for 1 year, but you made a whole lot of it.
I made the most of it. Sometimes you get an opportunity and you got to make the most of it, and that was where I was at, and I was just trying to do my job. I mean, that's really all it came down to. Is we were a team that changed an offense. We weren't recruited for it, and we just needed to do our job and execute. And we didn't win a lot of games, but we could run the ball pretty well. So that was good.
Navy just missed a field goal, which is big.
Yeah, they kicked it into the wind. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Here comes Mother Nature.
I'm on that Reddit stream delay. Hulu Plus has live sports. It's like Hulu Plus has sports from 20 minutes ago.
In that senior season, you had, all right, let's say, I'm going to give you an either or, all right? Was it the 4 touchdowns against Tulane or the 229 yards against Eastern Michigan? Which one did you think like felt more like you walked out and the next day you're like, man, that was it. That was about as good as it's going to get.
I would say the Tulane game, for more reasons than just like the 4 touchdowns. It was that was when we finally kind of figured out how our offense was going to work. And that was a team thing all the way. Like up front, we were pushing off the ball. I mean, I think there actually is a clip from that game where I literally hid behind Ali and just until it cleared out. And I just
he's like 7'2", so like you can kind of like
it works out great. Yeah, when the guy is a foot taller than you, like you can kind of find a crease. So yeah, that was just a fun game. Like we had finally kind of figured out our offense because I think we had played A&M the week before, and things were starting to click, but just not. It wasn't there yet. And then with Tulane, it really hit, and it was such a fun game because we played at their old stadium, which was basically it was almost like, I'm not gonna like talk bad about their stadium or anything, but it had seen some years, and it was almost like a glorified high school stadium at that point. They played most of their games at Superdome, but for whatever reason, we played at their home stadium, and it was so fun because it felt like high school game. I mean, it felt like a fun, high school game. So it was a good time.
What was your high school playing experience?
It was good. I grew up in Texas, played football in Texas, and that's a big deal.
I hear it's pretty big there. Yeah.
So, a little bit.
Yeah, high school stadiums in Texas aren't exactly high school
bigger
stadiums
than
when you
it's bigger than the Tulane Stadium you played in.
Oh, absolutely, bigger than West Point Stadium. It's unbelievable. Like some of the stadiums out there. But I'm from Katy, Texas, and like everybody thinks I went to Katy High School, who's like a Texas powerhouse. But I actually went to Katy Taylor High School, who was like a academic decathlon powerhouse. So we didn't win as many football games, but it was still a great school. And I love playing Texas high school football, Friday Night Lights, all that. I mean, it was unbelievable. That's
awesome. How's medical school going?
It's tough. Yeah. It's going well. We have so I was actually planning to go to the game, and it turns out we have a neurology midterm on Monday. So I had to make a responsible decision and stay home to study. So
are we your study break?
This is the study break. Yeah, I actually just finished a deck of flashcards. I got on this call.
Well, I'm happy we could provide some relief for you there.
What was the Tom, did you already just see the pass? Is that
yes, I just saw it. Yes.
Okay, so Colin will see it in like, I don't know.
Give us a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll see it later. Don't worry about
it. Are you surprised at all that we've seen both these offenses come out and be able to move the ball pretty successfully? I mean, right now I'm looking at it, and both teams are averaging over 6 yards per play. And you mentioned we're just trying to get 4. And one of the things we talk about on the Cover 3 podcast is success rate, which is, the idea that, on first down, you're getting half the yards to gain. Second down, half the yards to gain. Third down, you're getting the first down. And when you break football down on a down-to-down basis, it's what makes the triple, and it's what makes option football really make sense. When you're like, okay, the easiest way to think about football is, you just want to get 4. You just want to get 5. So are you surprised that the offenses are having so much success right here early on in this game?
No, especially in this game. It takes it to another level. When you play Navy, things intensify. Like you take that extra scoop of pre and you put on your big boy pants because it's Army Navy. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they're moving the ball the way they are, especially against defenses that understand this offense. They're going. These two defenses go against this every single day, so you think they'll be able to shut it down pretty easily. But it looks like they're moving the ball pretty well, so that's good.
Do you think that they're it almost ends up being one of those things where because they know so much that you also understand where the holes and where they're if we give them this look, then we're going to be able to pop this play kind of situation?
Oh yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that happening. And man, it's tough. I know my senior year when we played, it just seemed like nothing would work. They're just so prepared for it. It just seemed like nothing would work. It couldn't find a hole, couldn't do anything. We maybe had like 35 yards rushing that game or something. It was rough. So they understand, what's going to be shown to them. So.
What's your have you gotten a chance to catch up with Coach Monken, or do you get much time to spend any opportunities around the program in recent years since he came in and took over and really led this big time renaissance that we've seen in the last half decade?
Yeah, so I think he's done a great job recruiting, and he's also brought in the right guys on the staff. When you bring in guys like Mike Vitti, who have been a part of the program and probably one of the most intense players I've played with, it just shows that he understands what that program needs. And thankfully, luckily through that, I've been able to, interact with the team and interact with Coach Monken through recruiting events and things like that. And we lived in Nashville. We moved to Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, and it's put me closer to the program and allowed me to interact with the recruiting a little bit more. So that's been good. So I've had some interaction with him. I think he's a great coach. I think he's great for the program. I think he's on the right track, or he's been on the right track for 5-6 years now, whatever it is.
I asked Caleb this earlier, but I want to see what you think. How jealous are you that they weren't doing these alternate uniforms while you were playing? Because these things are sweet.
My senior year was the first year we did alternate uniforms. Actually.
Oh,
yeah. So I got to experience it at least for 1 year, which was really cool. So that was like the first year that Nike did that, and that was kind of. So honestly, that was that had a lot to do with Stan Brock. He's got family connections with Nike, and I think his sister works at Nike, and she's in the marketing department there. So that's kind of how that all got kicked off, and that was awesome. I mean, we had the ACU helmets and everything, and that was like the first year that the whole alternate uniform got started. So I love to see how it's evolved and to where it is now, and I love the story behind it. I really like that they take an opportunity to recognize Army history and different units in order to honor them. I think that's great with what they're doing, and plus they look awesome. I think they're killing Navy in the uniform department. I know you like the Navy's helmets.
I love those helmets. They're beautiful.
No, I'm not into the airbrush stuff.
This isn't the state fair where you get to go and get yourself a little airbrush t-shirt.
You're like Colin, like neon airbrush.
No, they have, it's like the game itself, everything is great, but I just feel like that addition, like every single year, it's just added another element to it, being just something to look forward to and get excited with, and they really do look great.
Yeah.
Well, since Colin mentioned it, I don't think we've even got a chance to ask the chat yet, right? Can we get a little, hey chat, can we get a little, let us know, Army or Navy, who's got the better unis? We know where Colin stands. Tom has decided that he's going to line up with Navy. I stick with Army as my better unis. It was my pick on CBS Sports HQ, and I stand by it, not just because we have the fantastic back Colin Mooney here on board. So chat, go ahead and fill it up. Let us know which side has the better uniforms here today in America's game, Army or Navy, as Lavatai kneels it out. That is halftime, Army 13, Navy 7. So it sounds like you were watching earlier with Brett on the Reddit stream, but one of the comments that he had that I thought was very interesting was consider looking at the way that campus has really evolved into embracing the football program. So, being in Pennsylvania and getting a chance to participate in some recruiting activities, is that something that, not that you would be jealous of, but that you're excited about, that it's definitely evolved to a point where the entire program is also like in line, and the campus and all of the core cadets are very fired up about every single Saturday in Michie Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for being a cadet and what that feels like right now in terms of the atmosphere at West Point. But I reap the benefit from that as well. I mean, as a former player, as somebody who's a fan, now it's exciting to go to a game. You go into every single game knowing that there's a chance that you're going to win, which is what you want. And the years I was there, it wasn't really like that. I know I'm not sure if Caleb hit on it, or I think Brett may have, but yeah, it was a different vibe at that time. Because we weren't winning games, and that's totally understandable. I mean, losing is not fun. No one likes to, I'm a competitor. I hate losing. So if I'm losing, I'm in a bad mood. I think that's just what was going on in general. Like, we were losing, so everybody was in a bad mood about it. The cadet, I'm sure the core was like, oh, we got to go to another football game. It kind of had that feel, So, that's understandable. And, I would fight my butt off to not lose. I didn't want to lose. I didn't show up to play to lose. You don't do that. So yeah, I'm very happy that they are where they are now. I think it's good for the fans. It's good for the Army community, it's good for the cadets. I think it's done a lot, and I love to see it. I mean, I reap the benefit as well.
We have maybe we can get. I'm gonna step way out of line and get myself in trouble right here. But listen, just for coming on and for hanging out, I feel like we should probably send Colin a Cover 3 podcast pint glass from our CBS Sports store. Maybe we can arrange that, Coca. But we can also give away a pint glass for free to someone who is watching live. And the way we're going to do that is we want you to go and smash the like button on that video. We've already given away a free Cover 3 podcast t-shirt. If we get up to 200 likes, we will give away a Cover 3 pint glass. And for his time, I'm just recklessly giving away. Okay, Coca's coming in to tell me that I can't do that. Hold on, you're muted.
But he's muted.
We could do better than the pint glass for Colin. Like
okay, it's a very good pint glass.
But we could get Colin a shirt or a sweatshirt. He's got kids running around. We can help him out. What I did join for, Colin, please explain to us what. I'm on your wiki page, and I saw this before, but I had to bring it up again so I didn't get this wrong. What is the Black Death Award?
So I think. So it's kind of like the Broad Axe, except it was like our version of the Broad Axe, and it was. It was like if you did really well in a game, like you got the Black Death Award. Like you had to do really like the Tulane game. I think I got it for the Tulane game. Like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically a perfect game. So it wasn't given away lightly, but it was a cool little award. I mean, it was similar to the Broad Axe.
Did they give you something? Like, do you have, or was it just sort of just like recognition, or did they actually give you something?
Did they give you the plague?
Yes, I got the plague, recovered, and I'm good. Forever.
That's like all the boosters combined. My antibodies off the charts.
I will never get sick again.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you were the last person to win it. Like it's just.
Well, it was Stan Brock's award. Like he came up with it. I think it may have been an award like in the 80s. He brought it back. And I did get something. I got a knife, like probably like a foot long. I mean, it was like a big old K-bar knife on a plaque. It's really nice. It's at my parents' house. It's actually really nice. But yeah, there's actually an award for it. Yeah,
that's awesome. What as we're starting to look ahead to the second half, Colin, what would you say in terms of if you were in the locker room and you were in charge? I mean, clearly you're up 13-7, so that's exciting. But what would you say in terms of second half adjustments? What needs to tighten up, or what might need to change for Army to be able to make sure that they maintain this advantage throughout the second 30 minutes?
So first, I'm terrible at this. Like I will never be a coach because I'm so terrible about this. Also, like you probably if you were in the locker room with me, you wouldn't hear me like say a word ever. So I'm just gonna say like keep doing what you're doing. You're doing something right. You're up by 4. Whatever. What are we up by? I don't know.
6.
I'm that far behind. It's not even halftime yet.
No, I mean, so a different question for you then was at halftime of your games, like what sort of player were you? Were you like the guy who was like, rallying the troops, or were you the guy who just went and just sat at your locker and was just like, Coach, just don't talk to me?
To be honest, I don't even remember. I think I blacked out like every game. So I don't I barely remember halftime. I know before games, like I was a very, very intense player. Like I'm very laid back, like real life, but in football life, very intense, like didn't talk to anybody. People probably thought I wasn't very nice. But that's how I had to be. Like I had to be in that space to do what I had to do to play. So halftime, probably come in, have a little Gatorade, just sit there, just kind of chill until we had to split up into offense, defense, and have our little offense defense meetings, and then make adjustments there, and then go back out. But yeah, I was very intense. Like had my routine, I pretty much like listened to the same songs from the time I was a sophomore in high school until, you know, my last play as a professional. So,
What were we listening to?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me pull up.
So I don't even know if I want to share. I don't even know if I want to share that.
Okay. Well, you don't have to, but let's see if we can guess. So I guess if you're like 608, so it's sophomore year of high school. So we're talking about like the greatest hits of 2002.
Yeah, it's probably about right. Yeah, 2002, 2003 in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So,
can you at least give us the genre?
were we
it was-
emo?
Were we listening to like Limp Bizkit and Corn? What were we
Saves the
listening
Day?
It was all right. So it was Godsmack.
to? Okay, so there
Yeah.
we go. That's
Self-titled
perfect football
album.
music.
And I think by the time I was like a senior in college, I didn't even like it anymore. But it was just like a part of my routine, so I couldn't. I didn't like it. It was like the trigger, you know. It's like it turned on, so I couldn't get rid of it. It was Pavlov.
System of a Down in there a little bit, maybe.
No, it was just one album. I just listened to it over and over again. Yep. Like Voodoo came on, and I was ready to play. Like that was it.
Awesome. Oh man. What's do you keep in touch with any other teammates, or like has any other group chats have been going on as we get ready for this game? Any circles of friends that are particularly excited whenever we get to this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge reunion for everybody every year. I mean, that's you know why this game is so important. You know, for us, I mean, it's an important game regardless. But you know, for guys that you know played and went to the academy, you know, it's a huge reunion every year. And the Army Navy game is just like a rally point. You know, at least once a year, you know, you're gonna reconnect and have fellowship with you know individuals that have had you know, similar journeys and similar experiences. So it's always good to reconnect. And I was actually, I went into Manhattan last night for an event. You know, I serve on the board of Legacies Alive. We support Gold Star families, those who have lost loved ones, you know, in the line of duty. And we put on a dinner for them, and it was awesome. We hosted about 75 Gold Star families. And that's something that, you know, I'm involved with Mike Vitti and you know, a few other classmates of mine, you know, Mark Fadowski, Matt Hernandez, Chris Nichols, who is a coach at the prep school. So yeah, we're connected in that way. I see them a lot because we have, you know, monthly meetings and things. But the Army Navy game is just, it's like I said, it's a rally point for everybody at least once a year to get together. And you know, it's one of those things where no matter what's going on or, you know, how long you haven't seen someone, like you pick up where you left off, and that's how it is. And it's because we shared those experiences while we're at the academy and you know, on active duty in the Army or whatever we're doing. You know, everyone seems to be in this. It's funny. Everyone seems to be in the same stage with kids right now. So that's like, so everyone's like in the have 3 kids under 5, like just trying to survive mode. So it's funny, like talking to guys. Like, dude, you were like an Army Ranger and you're complaining about how hard.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better. Did you ever? What's the separation between your oldest two?
So my oldest is 5. She'll be 6 next month, and then the 2 youngest are 2, so they're actually twins. Yeah, so they're 2 years old. Yeah.
I'm a twin, so those 2 are my favorite. No offense to the oldest.
Yeah, she's cool too. So.
Yeah, she's okay.
I'm at that friend group stage where there's like 20 of us friends who are still from the same hometown, and like everyone is getting married. Like the first group that like the first couple that got married just announced that they're having a kid, and I'm just like sitting here as the single guy who produces Cover 3 podcast.
Your Instagram feed's gonna change a lot.
I'm actually. I hit the mute button. Everybody's stories get muted now.
I love your children. I don't like your posts. Matt Coca, 2021.
I was gonna say I'm actually kind of terrified to think what Coca's Instagram feed is right now. Just like, especially when you go to like the search page. I would love to see what yours looks like, Coca.
Oh man. Colin, we don't want to hold you here forever. Any other just sort of like last predictions, thoughts, or things that stand out to you about either the game that we've seen so far in the first half or the rivalry in general?
Army by a million. I mean, not even close. So, take the under if you want to.
Darn right.
Because it's going to be a million.
That's all I'm saying. But it's such a great rivalry. I feel honored to even have had a small part in it. Just to think about the players that have played in this game and what this game means. It's so much more than us as players. And what it means to others. So I'm just and to me, I feel like it's the purest rivalry in college football. Because you go to an academy and you play football there, you have to love football. Like you cannot love it. Like you can't do all the stuff that you have to do there and kind of like football. Like you have to love it. So to see these guys go out there and lay it on the line the way that they do, I just know that they love football and I know they love playing. And what they do after this game is going to matter a whole lot more than what they do on this field today. So I'm just proud of these guys, and it's an honor to have been a part of this tradition. And a tradition it's really it's for the most part celebrating and honoring something or someone. So it's a great tradition, and it honors a legacy of service, and it honors those who have come before us, and it honors those who have given their life for us to be able to play a game like this, and honors those families and celebrates those families that have lost a loved one, and just to look at an organization like Legacies Alive or Navy SEAL Foundation or any of those that have brought families to the game this weekend, because I know there are a lot there. Like there's a big reunion weekend for them as well, and it's a great way for them to connect with one another and to be together. So like I said, great tradition. Glad to have a small part in it, and just blessed to have that opportunity. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Y'all are great. I've really enjoyed listening to y'all throughout the game. So it's been interesting, and I really appreciate you having me on, and just listen to me babble about whatever. So that worked out.
Hey, legasiesalive.com. Hey,
check it out. Yes.
Legasiesalive.com. Check out a lot of what Colin has been working on, what he's been talking about here throughout our hangout right now. You can find out how you can contribute. Like you don't have to necessarily be tied to Army or Navy. If you just want to be a part of helping Gold Star families, legasiesalive.com is a good way to do that, right? I assume.
Best way to do it. Yep. Get on the website, check it out. Supporting Gold Star families. Anyone can do it. Any service branch, anybody. Just help. Just try to support those families. They deserve it, and they've given so much, and they deserve our support. So go ahead and check it out on the website. That'd be great.
Awesome. Colin, thank you so much. And we also have in the live chat, if you're watching, that website, so you can go and click on it and check that out. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
It.
Thanks.
All right, what's our live total looking like, Tom?
Listen, I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, yo, Chip is trying to get this guy out of here real quick because he needs to get these second half bets in. Like, Chip's like dying to get his second half bets in. You saw Colin was a family man with 3 kids. He's like, dude, we got to hurry up. We got to hurry up and get this going.
Let's see. The second half total is at 16.5. So that would mean the live total is at 36.5. So it's going to be about a 50-50 proposition from this point. We could use a couple punts to open that second half, I think.
What about for a second half spread?
The second half spread right now is Army -1.5. So pretty much in line with the 7.5 that was the pregame spread. So we're pretty much right exactly where we started the game with. But do you mind if I read a direct message I got from Stephen Devine this morning?
Not at all.
Tom, I'm in my OCPs, which is camo. today with my unit, the 42nd Infantry Division in New York, and we are all with you on the under. Some even found what we're calling the Fornelli fortune, and that's an even odds teaser of Army -1 and the under 40.5. Go Army, beat Navy. I got to tell you, waking up to that DM just filled my heart with pride.
The fact that we have so many enlisted servicemen and women that are on board with your
I got an entire infantry division on the under with me here today.
Dude, they are
it's like being in England and getting knighted. Like Tom has now officially been knighted by Army.
Can you guys hang out for just a second? I gotta go back.
Yeah, go.
Right, yeah.
We'll carry this.
Right.
We'll make fun of you the entire time you're gone. So, like, he's not Scott Hansen, because I watch NFL Red Zone, and Scott Hansen never has to take a bathroom break.
Yeah, but like, look at that view that he left us with. Like, at least he gave us that. Like, at least it's not like his normal office view. But now we have people who are joining the stream who are like, "Wow, like someone has the fireplace going. Like, I wonder who that guest could be."
It looks like you have that channel on your TV during the holiday season where they just show like a fireplace with a fire going. That's where Chip is right now. He is in the room where they filmed that video.
Yeah, and like I can't even like move left or right because we have like people from the military watching this right now, and if they saw how I made my bed, they'd shut this off. They'd be like, "What? that is not right." All right, Tom,
yeah,
hold on. Let's give some people let's talk about your bets a little bit. What have you fired off so far for the second half?
I got an under 44 for the second half. I haven't placed anything yet. I'm just sticking with what I had, but I fired off after Army's touchdown in the very first drive. I fired off a live under at that point. After Navy went down and scored, I fired off another live under at that point. And both of those are very much en route to winning. Well, of course, my pregame wager where I got it at 36.5 on the show. I think it was at 35, but that's a coin flip right now. So we're going to have to sweat.
Do you like any of these second half plays right now? Like, is there anything you're not taking? I would
take Army -1.5. I think that Navy, obviously, it came out on that first drive of the game, moved down the field, got the touchdown. But really, since then, if you look, like their very first drive, they went 83 yards in 11 plays. Since then, 3 plays, 6 yards, 3 plays, 7 yards, 5 plays, 30, and then there was the kneel right before halftime. Now, of course, some of that is field position. There was the one punt that pinned him inside the 5. They were buried back. They had some penalties that drove them back. But I just think that overall, if you look at the way that this game has played, Army's had the better of it. And I think that if you can get a -1.5 in the second half, the way things are right now, I think that is probably the right side to take.
Yeah, like I've been surprised because like every time you watch this game, you think that like Army is in total control of the game. Like you're like, you know what? Navy really hasn't since like we talked about since that first drive and maybe the missed field goal. They had an opportunity there, but they jumped off. They went off sides on that fourth down where they were going to go for it. It's like Army looks like they're in complete control, but there's no points, and it's like this is like the under dream.
Yeah,
where you have a team who's just not finishing drives versus a team who can't get anything going.
Yeah, and that's part of the entire idea of the under because it does feel like Army's dominating this game and it's a 6-point game. And that's just the way it works when you have such limited possessions. And that's why, like Chip, both of us,
took Navy.
We took Navy because it's just really hard to pull away from the other opponent.
Do y'all see Jamie Erdahl? The wind is whipping. She's got the hair pulled back, but the wind is whipping through.
She can't hold up. She can't hold up her sheet. Like every time she pulls up the sheet, it turns. It just flies.
This wind is going to be massive. I don't know what. And are we swirling? I think it's directional though. Like there's a good side.
Oh, it's got to be swirling in there. The way that the upper decks, like there's no real kind of lane. Like like some stadiums, like you have the horseshoe pattern. This is all evenly topped all the way around. So like the wind is getting in there and it is just going around and around.
And this stadium is like in the Meadowlands. It's in the middle of nowhere. Like, so when there is wind, there's no like buildings or anything that are like breaking the wind. Like this is just a wind tunnel. Like
it's like Kansas.
I was going to say it makes Manhattan, Kansas beautiful for unders.
Yeah, no, like East Rutherford, it's just one giant parking lot with a stadium in the middle of it.
So is there, I mean, you guys are way smarter than me when it comes to football. Is there sort of like a second half script? Because I know they script games, you know, your first drive, your first couple of drives. Like, is there something that these coaches put together for the second half? And they're like, okay, you know, we saw this didn't work. Let's get like our, you know, our 8 to 10 plays ready to go. So, you know, are we going to see more passing here maybe? You know, is it back to what Navy does well? It's just running the football. Like, what do you guys sort of expect here?
I mean, most teams don't really script second half starters because it's always going to depend on the adjustments you got to make in the game and all that. But considering how close this game is, it wouldn't be crazy if Navy came out to open the second half with the exact same script it had to start the game with its very first possession. So you could see some of that because, like, if you've seen what Navy's done in this game, they've probably spent halftime trying to figure out, all right, well, what's working for us and what isn't. Let's lean into what's working and try to fix what isn't. So I would expect to see probably some more passes because really, like, that has been the most explosive element of the game. Navy's thrown the ball 4 times for 46 yards, but like all passes in these games with these option offenses tend to be explosive plays because they're all trying to catch you by surprise and the defense isn't expecting it.
Yeah, I think that some of the most important adjustments might even be like player by player, position group by position group, not just like scripting plays, because think about all the coaches from up top that are now going to get to talk to the players when they're doing their offense defense meetings and they're able to get that feedback. Like, hey, I can't hold this block when we're doing this. Okay, well, then we need to make this kind of adjustment. I think that it's like we talked about, Brian Kelly, I don't exactly look at as like your great X's and O's play caller dude, but he does a great job of establishing identity and figuring out ways to get there. I think that the halftime adjustments end up being probably a lot of adjustments, but they are a lot of adjustments that sometimes can be on a very like microscopic or very basic level in terms of ways that you can get a better feel as a coach and as a coaching staff for what's happening on the field.
This is Navy's best drive so far since the very first drive of the game.
But they're not checking it around though.
No. Well, they've got thrown one pass there to Haywood. Nice pickup there. I thought he nearly got stripped at the very end there. I thought he was getting a little loose with that ball. I'm surprised Army didn't get it.
You know, when Colin was talking before about like you have to love football to play this game. Like when you watch these two teams play, like everybody gets hit on every play.
Oh.
That's the worst about the option. It's like no matter who you are, you're getting hit.
Especially, I mean, for Colin was a fullback, so it's like his role every single play was just to run face first into an A gap, either with the ball or without it. Either way, you're getting hit by somebody the moment you're there.
Yeah, I love how you said he's just really excited to see fullbacks doing fullback stuff.
It is really true. Like the one last true bastion of the fullback. Like there are still some fullbacks out there, and some offenses obviously still use them in traditional ways, but nobody uses them the same way that option teams use them.
And everybody is a different size. Like that's like you see like the traditional fullback, and he's like this like 6'1", 250-pound juggernaut, and then you look at like the Army guys, and they're like 5'9", 205, and you're like, is that a fullback? Is that really what you see?
You just got to be able to get low. You got to be all you need to do. Like you have to be able to take punishment. You have to enjoy the punishment and just get lower than the guy behind you. So in some instances, being 5'9" is actually kind of an advantage. Win that leverage battle.
Do y'all think that the fullback's going to come back as the pendulum swings, or have we already seen it with the H back and it's like kind of all the way back? I'm trying to figure out whether we're going to see somebody just go all out. Like, no, we are going to stand for this thing, and we are going to just smash you all the time.
I think that, I mean, it's all cyclical in a lot of ways, but I do think that, well, I don't know if we're ever going to have like the I formation kind of fullback role with like those guys that were getting some carries per game. I do think like if you look even in the NFL at the coaches who are considered to be the offensive savants, the guys who are ahead of the curve, they all have fullbacks on their roster because there's just like that adjustment where defenses with offenses in the last decade or so getting so spread out and having, 4 receiver sets, 3 receiver sets, and defenses having to change to account for that, where the role of a linebacker has gone from a guy who's, in run support to a guy who not only has to support the run, but has to be able to cover like a slot receiver. Now you see the counter move for some offenses. Now that defenses have been able to change and be better prepared and are better equipped, bring in more size, bring in those fullbacks. And, you see more 2 tight end sets. And it's just because now it's like it used to be the defense was bigger than the offense. Now offenses are trying to be bigger than the defenders tackling them. Because if you look like at guys like Isaiah Simmons in the last few years and Micah Parsons, these are guys that are now edge rushers or playing all these roles. But 10 years ago, they'd probably have been safeties, and there would have never been another thought to put them anywhere else. And now they're moving them closer to the line of scrimmage, and offenses are countering by getting bigger themselves, trying to over.
And listen, I'm a Ravens fan, and like I since I've been a Ravens fan, like my whole life, since like the early 2000s, they've always had the fullback. Like the fullback has always been somebody who has been like in their offense. And like we had Kyle Juszczyk, who's now out in San Francisco doing big things. And now they have Pat Ricard. And it's just, the Greg Roman has done like a great job of just getting these guys involved. But I think like the one big difference is like these dudes have hands. Like they catch footballs. Like they are really like tight ends, but they can run the football. They're athletic and
We've got a 1st and goal here. Are we sure he didn't step out of bounds?
Chance Warren's 26-yard run looked like it was almost a busted play. That looked like that was going to be a tackle for a 10-yard loss. Somehow he didn't step out of bounds. And tell me when y'all got the next play.
Yeah, no, Ty Levitai just scored. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
The last 24 minutes is going to be a sweat.
17-14 brings us home. No, wait, 16-14 brings us home.
Let's get, we need Army to put together a nice 24-minute, 23-play field goal drive.
Are we at 34.5?
My personal bets are 36.5, 41.
I'm not here for your personal bets. About the locks, baby. The locks.
Yeah, our locks was at 35 or 34.5. Okay. I think we got 35.
So 20-14 is our magic score, realistically. Okay. Who the heck would Teddy from Texas says who the heck would take an under of 34? I don't know. Someone who understands that the under in Service Academy games are 49-1.
And also, I think it became too hip. I think for this year, I saw that stat going around everywhere. And when things become cool, it's about to just fall off a cliff. So that's what happened was this morning I woke up and I'm on Twitter and I'm like, are there 5,000 Tom Fornellis out there, or is just everybody just using this stat today? And because it's the new hip thing, the over.
I think it speaks to the explosion of the Cover 3 podcast and the college football zeitgeist that a statement of fact that we happen to have dropped once a week for the last 15 weeks on the Cover 3 podcast happens to really have gotten into the consciousness of every single college football fan across the country. Everybody steals from Tom. We know that.
I'm the architect of my own demise if this bet loses. Although at one point, you know me, I'll just go the other way. Once once the total's at 33 every time these teams meet, I'm going to be like, all right, Service Academies, you know what we're doing? We're taking the over.
Since 2005. Service Academy unders, I'm over.
Since 2021, the Service Academy overs are 1-0.
1-0. Oh, man. Well, all right, so let's talk about in total aside. That was a tremendous opening drive for Navy. 10 plays, 74 yards. We mentioned that, Tom, you said right at the beginning of the second half, you think that Navy's opening drive of second half might be one of their best of the half. That long run, 26 yards for Chance Warren was on 4th down. Honestly, as they were approaching the line of scrimmage, I thought that was going to be all right, here's where Army gets a stop, and here's where things really start to move in the direction where Black Knights can take control of this game and be able to slowly put it away. Game on as the mids have marched down the field. A very impressive drive from a play calling, game planning standpoint, and of course execution as Warren comes up with the big play, and then Ty Levitai punches it in here at the end with the short 2-yard run for the touchdown. As I'm trying to figure out who's going to win this game, whether the over or under hits or not, I got to think, not that this is how about that question? Is it a must-score drive for Army?
No, I think
You
what
can't go
wanna
3 and out. I'll say
Yeah.
you can't go 3 and out and give them the ball back, because while momentum's not real, confidence is, and Navy is playing with a ton of confidence right now.
Yeah, and we saw that in the first half where they had the excellent first drive, and then Army was able to march right down the field and get a field goal. And I think that was huge. But I think more important than getting points here is you just want to make sure that if you don't score, Navy's got to go the full length of the field, because Navy, like, they just did it now and they did it early in the game, but they haven't really shown a consistent ability to move the ball yet today. So
I think another important thing is like the misdirection in this game is so significant. And like you saw on that play, on that long play by Navy, is that you are the misdirection to the misdirection, and you're just like one missed tackle away from every play just being a giant gain. There's nobody else there to help you because everybody's eyes are trying to find the football. So it's like, the play went left to start and people just got lost. So, as the game goes along and people start to get tired, like I wonder sort of like how much this really starts to open up.
Great
because
stat. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so much of defending like an option offense is just discipline and knowing your role, because they do stuff like, it's like you said, there's a whole lot of misdirection. There's a whole lot of things happening on every single play. And it's important, whether you're playing safety, linebacker, you're on the defensive line, wherever you are, you have to fill your role. And it's like run fits in any other defense, but it's a little bit different. Like, you can't buy into this fake or that pitch. If your role is this guy, you have to stick to it. And it's a discipline. And as you said, as the game goes on and you get more tired and guys are diving into your legs and you're wearing down physically, you start to wear down mentally. And that's when the mistakes happen. And that's when big plays like that happen.
Great stat from the CBS broadcast, which multi-screen experience. Thanks all of you watching. Of course, you watch it for free on cbssports.com. You can also watch it on the CBS Sports app. But 0 plays of 4+ yards on first down for Army's offense right now. No bueno. I mentioned success rate earlier when I was talking to Colin, but Tom, did I do an okay job of explaining success rate?
You did a great job of explaining success rate.
Okay. All right.
Very proud of you.
Thanks. The idea that you need to, on first down, get 4+ yards, just as Colin said, was the entire mentality of the offense, to be able to set up everything else that you want to do and avoid the very situation that Army is in, having to face a 3rd and long where they're not going to be in a good position to convert, and now is doing the exact thing that we just said Army could not afford to do. Yeah, no, this is not good for the Black Knights, as Navy now gets the ball back with good field position, tons of confidence after that touchdown drive to open the second half. And yeah, Army's got to find something on offense right now, because right now it is not clicking very well for the Black Knights. They still, for the game, are averaging 5.7 yards per play, but Navy's average now up to 6.4. They are being outgained. Army is 204 to 106 for the
the stat that they just showed was 9.8 yards is the average distance to go on third downs for Army.
Yeah, and it's like you mentioned, Chip, a big part of that is what's happening on first down. And what that has led to is, like, if you look, like, talk about success rate, there's another thing called leverage rate, which is directly related to success rate, in that it's the percentage of the plays you're running an offense that aren't passing downs, or you're not in a passing situation like Army just was there on 3rd and 9. Like, they weren't in a 3rd and 3 or play where you can run, anything like that. Navy's at a 72% leverage rate, which means they have not been in a lot of passing situations where they can run the ball. Army is only at 45%. So when you look at those overall stats, like, obviously Army's winning a lot of those battles, but when you look at that, that helps explain why, as we were talking about at halftime, it felt like Army was dominating that first half, yet it's still a really close game. And it's also why Navy now has a 1-point lead.
As we sit here with the Army-Navy game in our very forefront, of course, the reason why we're all here with you today, with this Army Navy Watch Party presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 roles at goarmy.com. I mean, yeah, right? We got to talk about it. Right? Chat wants to know. Chat's all here. Dan Lanning at Oregon. I will say selfishly, this is my instant reaction. Like, you guys always talk about, like, when we've seen those sirens in your feed, like, yeah, normally I've had about 10 minutes. You know, maybe I've been on CBS Sports HQ firing off a take. Then I come to sit down, but I've had some time to process it. What is my instant reaction, chat? I'll tell you right now. It's not as entertaining as Chip Kelly to Oregon. And I am selfish, and I want what's entertaining, and I want what's going to generate the most amount of, like, conversation and buzz. It's probably a great opportunity for Dan Lanning. And Dan Lanning has done a tremendous job at Georgia, but it is not as fun as Chip Kelly to Oregon.
Yeah, because Chip Kelly just kind of keeps the carousel going. Like, it's like, all right, now we're getting new head coaching jobs that are coming open at Power 5 schools, whereas Lanning's just the defensive coordinator at Georgia. Pff, that's not fun. But no, it's an interesting hire. It's not what I was expecting, but clearly, like, there is, if you're at Oregon, you saw what Mario Cristobal brought to the program as far as the recruiting angle and how important that was and how effective it had been for the program. So now you're getting Dan Lanning, who has been at Georgia, has been part of the Kirby Smart regime. He understands the recruiting aspect in the SEC. He understands what it takes. And now he's going to be bringing some of that Saban Smart DNA that Mario Cristobal brought with him back to the Pacific Northwest. So in that sense, you've got a new coach who's going to have a new staff, and maybe things are going to look different. But as far as, like, the kind of culture and what you're building on, there's still a lot of similarities, which should make for an easier adjustment period. And I mean, listen, look at the defense that man has put out there. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a ton of talent on that defense, which is always the most important thing when it comes to a defense, but a very good defensive coordinator, and he's getting his shot as a head coach. And it's also, maybe you consider, you know, USC's brought in Lincoln Riley, a great offensive mind. Maybe we need to counter that a bit with a very good defensive mind to try to slow them down and not just win the North, but thinking about having to beat USC to win Pac-12 titles and get to the playoff in the future.
My biggest concern there is that, like, every time we talk about Mario Cristobal, the first thing we bring up is how he is one of the best recruiters in college football. Like, no one comes close to him. And we've talked a lot about Oregon's setup and where Oregon is and where they're getting all their players from. Then Lincoln Riley jumps in, and now Lincoln Riley, like, his whole job is to keep that talent in California. So my issue is, does Dan Lanning put together a staff that's strong enough to get some of those players out of California? Like, is he the guy who's going to keep Oregon competitive? Because this is going to be his first time being a head coach. You know, he's the new hot name. We saw what Georgia's defense is, but now he's living without those Georgia players. Like, he doesn't have those, you know, those dogs, those Georgia dogs anymore.
No.
Like, he's trying to build something, and it's going to be, I think it's just going to be a tough adjustment for him to be first-time head coaching in the Pacific Northwest, knowing that Lincoln Riley could be taking and keeping all that talent that Mario Cristobal was using to keep that program afloat.
It's a legitimate question, and it is something that they need to address. But if there is good news here, it's that Dan Lanning has been in the Pac-12. He spent 2 years at Arizona State, one as a grad assistant, and then you know what he was in 2013 at Arizona State? The recruiting coordinator. So he probably does have still some connections out in California, out in Arizona, that he could still utilize. But you're right. There is the question of, you know, that's nearly a decade ago at this point. A lot of stuff changes. But Oregon, I think at this point, is such an established program on the West Coast because, you know, when Chip Kelly was there, he was recruiting in California, he was recruiting in Texas, he was recruiting all those areas. And I think Oregon is a name now to where, whether he has that kind of immediate connection to help maybe discover some kids that, you know, like sometimes there's those 3-star kids, a high school coach be like, hey, this guy's not getting as much attention as he should. Maybe you want to take a look at him. I think he's somebody who fits. And that always helps those hidden gems. But I do think that when Dan Lanning comes in the door, and if he's wearing like an Oregon polo and an Oregon offer, I still think that's going to carry plenty of weight. Now, obviously, Lincoln Riley at USC, for a lot of those kids, it's a situation similar to Georgia. Like, if you grow up in Georgia and that Georgia offer comes, you kind of push those other offers aside because that's the offer you've been waiting for. So that's something that you're still going to have to deal with, and it'll be interesting to see how he adapts. But I think that he has enough in his history as a recruiting coordinator and as a coordinator and just the effort that he puts in that I think that they'll still be successful at it. Maybe not to where Mario Cristobal was, but maybe they'll be better coached.
Not good for Georgia. I mean, not necessarily bad for Georgia, but it is something that as we continue to look at, Alabama assistants leave, and it is a huge challenge for Nick Saban and to go and replace those coaches as all the Clemson assistants leave, and it's going to be a challenge for Dabo Swinney, though it looks like he's going to choose to promote internally. I mean, Kirby Smart made a very good hire with Todd Monken, and Dan Lanning has been a very good defensive coordinator for him. But this is going to be a challenge. I know that Kirby's got his hands all over the defense, but I still think that if you look at him as a plus value coach who is at least worthy of being considered as the head coach at Oregon, then losing him from your staff is going to be losing a valuable member.
Big delay of game there, penalty on Navy. They're lining up to go for it on 4th and 4 at the Army 44. Delay a game, gonna have to punt. Although,
and he was under center with like 15 seconds left.
Yeah, they were trying to draw him offside, but still, that's a big stop for the Army defense because that was another Navy was looking pretty good in that drive. They got into that 3rd and long. Chance Warren picked up 12 yards. I thought they were going to get it. I nearly yelped while you were talking to. But no, that's a big stop for Army. That is a big stop for our under because that was a 6-play drive that took up about 4 minutes.
Tick, 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 tick.
This has been there have been so many defensive coordinators this season, these sort of first-time head coach defensive coordinators that have taken a lot of these, these bigger jobs, whether it's Venables leaving Clemson to go out to Oklahoma. We had Elko leave Texas A&M. It's crazy because the recruiting classes that these guys have put together, it's weird that they're going to leave that talent.
Yeah.
We talked about, Bud has talked about this Texas A&M class could be the best class that they've ever had. And boom, Elko leaves. And then Lanning, it's we just had a historic season and he's leaving. So it's been pretty interesting to see these guys, leave regardless of the classes that they've been bringing in.
I think we've got go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say it hasn't, there's been the big jobs that have come open, but a lot of years we've seen big jobs come open and the ripple effect isn't that huge. But no, you're right. We have seen a lot of big sitting coaches and a lot of the top coordinators all moving around at the same time, which I have a feeling could mean the 2022 season might be very much in line with what we've seen this year as far as unpredictability and maybe even more so.
Sign me up for it. Let's go. Let's keep it going. Let's keep all the unpredictability going. But we do have something that is scheduled, something that is predictable, because we are so excited to bring to the Cover 3 Army Navy Watch Party, Mr. John Radigan. John, a linebacker at Army from 2017 to 2020. The team leader in tackles for loss last season. He had 2 interceptions, including 1 pick six. And John, people have been singing your praises, honestly, all throughout the day. I mean, going all the way back to Brett Toth, we had Caleb Campbell, we had Colin Mooney. Everybody's talking about John coming up later in the day. Everybody seems to consider you a friend. So first of all, thank you for joining the show. But from what you've seen so far, thoughts on this very tense, very tight game as Navy holds a 14-13 lead here in the third quarter?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. Not where we want to be right now, down a point. I think it's been a constant, back and forth battle, and regardless of the record, that's what you're going to get every year with the Army Navy game. Unfortunately, maybe it wasn't like that my junior year. So I went 3-1 against them. Junior year was a tough one, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's obviously a very physical football game, although they are passing a little bit more than I was anticipating. Obviously, we got Christian Anderson, who's done really well in the pass game this year. And then we got Tyre to balance things out. He's a very fast and quick runner. So, I think we're kind of struggling a little bit to establish ourselves and balance, what the Navy offense is bringing. But as far as I can tell, the last time I checked, the time of possession is pretty similar. And overall, I mean, we got ourselves a good old dogfight right here.
So, John, you're I'm in Chicago, and I'm from the western suburbs, and you're from the western suburbs. You went to Nequa Valley in Naperville, Illinois. So, wanted to shout out you. I had cousins who went to Wabanzi Valley, so we've got some connections there. But like you mentioned, your record of 3-1 at Army and that one loss to Navy. I was just going to ask you, like, do you still have kind of nightmare visions of what Malcolm Perry was able to do that day?
Certainly still remember it. That was just not the year for us, and really it was the whole year. We kind of struggled, but like I said, I mean, going into that game, I can remember we didn't, we were ready. We were completely ready for whatever they were going to bring, and obviously Malcolm Perry is a very talented football player. That's why he's continuing his career right now in the NFL. I still remember it. I don't have nightmares about it, thankfully, because I got the best of him the 3 other years. But he's certainly a great football player, and I think that's they mentioned it a little bit, but that's what we're getting now at the academies, both Army and Navy, Air Force included. I mean, a lot better athletes, and that's no knock on anybody that came before, but I think things are just kind of changing, and the way recruiting works and everything. Coach Monken has done a great job since coming in, and so yeah, things look good for us, but we'll see.
Well, you got to see a lot of the change happen during your time there. I mean, you got to be a part of it. You got to help, lead the kind of success that was proof positive into what, Jeff Monken was preaching and what he was trying to put in place. How has the recruiting changed? Because I've heard recruiting be mentioned a lot today during our watch party with a lot of our conversations. And, how has that changed from, previous regimes before?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Since I've come in, a lot has changed. A lot changed from 2017 to 2020, and a lot is still changing. As Niumatalolo and Monken both continue to develop their programs. Obviously, at Navy, Coach Ken, he had been there for a long time, so he had already established, solid recruiting, and that might have given them the leg up in the 16-year streak that they had, right? So, in terms of Army specifically, since Coach Monken came in, I think, I don't know exactly what his plan is. I'll have to ask him about it someday, especially if I, decide to get into coaching. But obviously, we have great quarterbacks. We have great guys that run the offense. And I think the coolest thing about playing football at Army is I was able to play and form these relationships that I'll have for the rest of my life with guys from all over the country. I can't say it was all 50 states, but I'm sure it was over 30 states. We had guys, from all over the place. And, people get overlooked coming out of high school. I know for me specifically, I got injured my junior year, so I didn't have any junior tape, and that kind of hinders recruiting a little bit. And, I think Army does a really good job knowing where they stand in terms of competing against these other schools and going after guys like Tyre Tyler, who might not be the tallest, but he's a solid quarterback. And same with Christian. We get kind of guys that are a little bit overlooked, and we look for a lot more toughness, and that's what we pride our program on. So I think that's one thing that Coach Monken's really changed, and that's helped with recruiting. We get tough guys that are winners, and that's how you build a winning culture.
We were talking a couple minutes ago before you joined us about how difficult it can be as a defensive player going up against an option offense because of all the things that are being thrown at you on any single play. And obviously, you, as a linebacker at Army, you led the team in tackles. What are you looking for pre-snap? Like, what were your responsibilities? What are you thinking before every snap, and what are you trying to do?
That's a good question, and I'm trying to remember it right now. Because this whole past year with football, I mean, things have changed like crazy, going from triple option football, obviously, to the NFL. It's a whole different game, but nothing was better than those CIC games. And playing the triple option as a linebacker, it's a dream, right? Because they're going to run the ball 90% of the time. I think the biggest thing is you got to be aware for the smoke and mirrors that they're going to throw at you, right? So they might pull. Most teams, if they pull a guard, you can trust it and you can go with it. But triple option, you never know. They could be pulling someone, motioning someone. You might want to follow the running back, but the play's going the other way. So there's so much you got to kind of differentiate. between the play and to be honest, sometimes you get caught up in it and you can't always make the plays. I know specifically, looking back at this game last year, I was trying to do a triangle read between the guard, the running back, and also knowing out of my peripheral, okay, where's the quarterback opening up? Because that can tell you a lot, obviously, as you watch this game. If he's opening up one way, it might still be a play action. But a lot is dictated by kind of those initial movements between quarterback, your guards, and then your B back or fullback.
And that's how if you make the wrong decision there, you cooked. Other than that, just like athleticism and like hustle to try and make up whatever grounds you might have missed if you make that wrong read.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can be cooked. It happens. Obviously, that's the game of football. That's what's so amazing about it, right? It's a humbling game. I think it's also tough when you got upwards of 300-pound guys running and trying to put their head right in your kneecaps.
Yep.
So you definitely got to be worried about the cut blocks. You got to get around those. It is cool though because the triple option is a very instinctive style of football. So for a guy like me, I love that. I loved going against a triple option and knowing that I can anticipate run regardless of if it's a perimeter run, an inside run, whatever. But for these guys and Eric Smith and everybody else on our defense, watching film is huge for games like this because you want to get the tendencies and you want to know, all right, well, if this kid's motioning, then he's going to get the ball, or the opposite. He might be the lead blocker and the quarterback's getting the ball. So as much as you can help yourself out before these games, that's also a key part to it.
Well, you mentioned how it's different now the last year, now that you're in the NFL. You're playing with the Seahawks. You've got a game tomorrow against the Texans. How did your time at West Point and playing for Army help prepare you for life now in the NFL?
I couldn't say enough good things about everything that Army and the Army football program did to prepare me for my position right now. And I'm just so thankful for all the guys that I played with, the coaches I played for, and the academy itself, because now that I'm on my own and I'm a professional football player, I live a little bit different life than a West Point cadet.
I imagine.
But with the structure and everything that you have to go through and building yourself as a leader and just being able to, socially, just being able to kind of understand how everybody is around you. I think it's really helped me, not just as a player, but as a teammate. And, I'm very thankful for everything that I was able to receive throughout my time at West Point.
How's the season been for you?
Season's been great. It's tough as a team. We're not where we want to be.
Sure.
So it's different. And the past 10 years, I've known the Seahawks to be winners, right? You see it every year, Russ, and just a great organization, right? Because Coach Carroll is very similar to Coach Monken in terms of it's a winning culture and they know how to build a winning culture. So I would say this year is almost like my junior year because we don't have the record that we want, but at the same time, we're not out of the fight and we're certainly not giving up on each other. So there's truly a lot of similarities between the culture that we had at Army and the culture that we have here. And I'm blessed to be a part of both.
We've had a lot of experts break this game down on the Cover 3 podcast. Here on this Cover 3 podcast watch party, again, brought to you by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 different roles that could be for you at goarmy.com. And, we've also been talking about it on CBS Sports HQ. I mean, the entire week is all Army-Navy, right? I mean, it's just that time in the college football calendar where we're focused on it. John, I think that this Army roster better than any of the experts that we've had on or talking about it. So I am most interested to hear this from you, and especially to get you at this point in the game. But, how would you assess your former teammates? How would you assess Army's performance so far? And what do you think needs to change going into the fourth quarter?
Well, I completely agree. I know these guys very well, and I'm thankful for that. As I kind of just mentioned, I think we have a solid defense and our offense and defense complement each other very well as special teams, right? Coach Saturnio's always done a great job, and he's still doing his thing this year. And I think when you can have all three phases of football, click for your team, that's when you win games. And right now, I wouldn't say that we're doing that to the best of our abilities. And that's not any specific player's fault. I think that's just what happens in a game like this, right? Both teams are playing and giving it their absolute best. So coming out of halftime, I thought maybe we'd make some changes, but I think we just got to keep battling. And like I said, it's a physical football game. It's triple option. We know that the majority of these plays as a defense, we're going to get, they're going to be running. And then on offense, we could switch things up a little bit. I think they've tried to do a lot up the middle, and it hasn't really worked out as well as anticipated. There's a couple blocks, that we've missed, and we're obviously going to need to make those to have some of these plays be successful. But I'm confident in my boys and the guys that I played with that will turn things around.
Have you gotten a chance to watch much this season? And forgive me, I mean, I'm a college football centric focus, so I don't know what the NFL weekly schedule is. I don't know how much time you have on Saturdays, but have you gotten a chance to watch much of the season so far? I mean, 8 wins, pretty solid. Looked good against some of the better teams on the schedule, even in games where you lost, putting up 56 on Wake, giving up 70, sure. But have you gotten a chance to watch Army much this season?
Yeah, I have, and not every game, not as much as I would want. I've been able to watch probably 3 or 4 full games.
That's good.
And if I don't, yeah, it is solid. And if I don't watch the full game, I'll at least watch the highlights, and I'll talk to the guys and see what was up. And so I always try to stay in touch, because these are guys that I went through the past 3-4 years with. Especially the senior class, we were all very close. So I think these guys, I mean, they're oh man, I'm sorry, Chip. I totally lost track of what I was saying.
Oh, I was asking if you gotten a chance to watch much of the team this season. Yeah.
So
how you think the season, the campaign, how's it been?
Yeah, no, and it has been good, right? 8-3 is a solid record. The 3 losses are, like you said, Wake Forest is a really good team. You never want to give up 70 points in a game, so certainly a little bit of frustration, with the defense there. And that was a wild game too, because if you just look at the time of possession, our offense did everything they needed to do. We scored 56 points and held the ball for, X amount of time, and we still couldn't get it done. So that one was a little frustrating. The Ball State game was a little frustrating too, because I think, our caliber of team, that's a game that we should go there and win. And then the Wisconsin game, it technically came down to the wire. We scored late. I think that was a game that we had been looking at, as soon as they planned it, a year or 2 or 3 or however long ago. You always look forward to games like that. And so it was tough that we couldn't get the win at Wisconsin, especially just with how hard we played. And,
defense played well in that game.
Yeah, defense played great. And our offense, did all right against a really good Wisconsin defense. So, the 3 losses aren't anything to hang our heads on. And overall, as a season, I mean, you can't be upset going 8-3 with a lock in the Armed Forces Bowl. I know these guys are having a great time throughout the season, just the camaraderie and everything. So as long as you can be winning, I'm sure these guys are having a better season than the Navy guys.
I was going to say, getting 14 points on Wisconsin is better than most of the Big Ten teams that played Wisconsin was able to do. So that was a tough loss, but it was a well played game.
Right. And I think really all these games are, and that's what you get a lot of times when you have the triple option, right? As long as your defense can hold some of these teams, you're able to you can upset the big dogs, right? Like Wisconsin, we've seen it. We almost we took Michigan at double OT, Oklahoma. But that's the frustrating part for us Army football players, is that we're right there, right? With these big Power 5 teams, we're right there, and we just haven't been able to get it done. And I know that that's going to change as well too. So because every time we go into a game like that, we 100% believe in ourselves, and we believe in our style of football. So that's why I know these guys won't waver for the rest of this game, and I'm confident that this is going to be a big fourth quarter for us.
Do you have it on right now?
I do. Yeah, it's in the background. I've got it on like 2 volume, but I can't really.
How's your are you in the hotel right now?
Yeah. I'm in
All right.
Houston.
So how's your timing? Because I didn't want to ruin the fake punt. Have you seen the fake punt yet?
No. Who faked the punt?
Oh, okay. Well, spoiler.
Navy.
I haven't. Oh, dang.
Yeah, they're bringing out all the dirty
yeah,
tricks.
it's I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean thing though. That's what you got to do, and that's what happens in games like this. So that's no surprise to me. But man, no, I didn't see that.
Did you play special teams also?
Yeah, 100% special teams, and I'm very thankful that was kind of my route onto the field at West Point.
Cool.
Yeah, that was what I had to do to get on the field at West Point, and it's the same thing in the NFL. So those have definitely, that's been a huge part to my game. And some people look past special teams and don't think it's too significant. But when you really think about it, like I mentioned, all three phases have to click. And anytime you have opportunity on the field to make a play, it's a blessing. So I take pride in that part of my game.
We love punting. We love punt coverage. We love all things special teams here when you're talking to Tom Fornelli and Chip Patterson. Don't you worry about that. We got you covered.
If you guys want to talk special teams, how about Zach Harding?
Ooh.
He's a beast, and he's been a beast, since we knew we had a great punter as soon as he came in, and he dominated last year, and he's doing the same this year. That punt to the 1 yard.
Oh, the one that he pinned inside the 2.
I mean, Leo made a good play stopping it, but I don't even think he needed to, right? It looked like
because it kind of spun backwards after that first bounce.
And it looks like oh my God, it's a one-time thing. It's crazy that he just did that, but he does that all the time. He's a really good punter, and that's a very underrated but great piece to have to your team.
100%. Does he play golf?
He probably does. He's a very low-key, quiet guy. I would not be surprised if he played golf.
I mean, because that's what we always say, right? Like when you put that spin on it, you just think about like a pitching wedge, or just being able to spin that thing back towards the hole after hitting it just past the pin.
He plays golf with his right leg on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, it's awesome. I would sign up for it over. I would sign up for it over some PGA Tour events. Just watching him get out there and just punt.
Seriously though, and he's helped us out because, especially those games that we were talking about where you can't move the ball as well as you want to against maybe a team like Wisconsin, it's huge to have a punter change the field position and be able to rely on your defense to get things done. I think we did that a lot last year when I was there, and we're doing that again this year because that's just our style of football.
I will say, speaking of special teams, I know you're playing the Texans this weekend, but you're playing the Bears in a few weeks. And just a heads up now, the Bears returner, Jakeem Grant, he's coming out every time. just a heads up.
Yeah, I appreciate the heads up. Yeah, no,
he returns every single one. Doesn't matter how deep in the end zone it is.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. We love the opportunity to go down and make tackles. Like I said, anytime you can make an opportunity, anytime you can make a play on the field is great. So I when the ball gets kicked and it's out of the end zone, it's kind of lame for a guy on kickoff. We want to go down and make those plays. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, if you're going to do all that running, you might as well get a chance to hit somebody, right?
100%.
All right, so in the lead up to this game, indulge me for a little bit, but the focus is entirely on beat Navy, and the focus is entirely on the rivalry and the tradition. Is there any part of you as a modern day college football player, one that is aware of social media, of the broadcast, of the spotlight? I mean, is there any extra buzz knowing that this game is the biggest show in the sport, the way that everything else is pushed to the side, and that all college football fans, there's no other game to be distracted by, it's just this one? Like, does anything about the stage really resonate with you as a player, or with your teammates as players, as you lead up to this game, adding another level to what's already tons of excitement?
I think it depends on the guy. So for me personally, last year and pretty much every year, we play Navy. It's fun to feed into the hype. And there's, like you said, there's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of cool things surrounding the game. And it's fun to feed into that hype. But really, once it comes game day, you got to be prepared. It's just another game. And you gotta have, prepared the same that you always do. And you got to get ready to go play the same as you always do. So I always try to look at it as it's another game, and because you don't want to psych yourself out and think, oh, this is the biggest stage, and so many people are watching and this and that. You can tell yourself stuff like that and go out there and not play to the best of your ability. So for me, I always try to look at it as it's another game, but at the same time, the week leading up to it and everything that comes along with the rivalry, the pride, the uniforms, the people that we represent. It all is so special, but it kind of depends on the person, how different people look at it.
Yeah.
Was it like,
go ahead.
The game is, like you played your first 3 years, it was in Philadelphia, but then last year, obviously with the COVID situation, the game was played at West Point on campus. Was that kind of, even though it was a completely different atmosphere from your first 3 times playing the game, did that feel like kind of special to finish your career playing at Michie Stadium?
No doubt. It was that was really special for us. And I remember when they told us that it was going to be, because luckily, we were the home team last year. And that's when all the COVID stuff happened. So, hey, you guys got to come play us then if we're the home team and we're going to make this happen. So we were very happy about that, especially, our senior class. And that was just such a surreal game. That was such an awesome experience because we had, throughout the whole year, we had our Corps of Cadets there. So we had, let's say maybe 5,000 fans at our games. And to have our Corps and then all the midshipmen, so let's say we had 8,000, 9,000 people, but all spread out. It was real foggy that day. I remember it like it was yesterday, man. That was a great experience.
That was a very big first down. I'm sorry to play spoiler for you, John, but I know that some of the chats on a little bit caught up. But 3rd and 4, Navy picks up the first down. It's needed to be a stop
here. Yeah. We need John Radigan to come flying through the A gap to get a tackle for a loss here.
Can we get like 4 or 5 John Radigans out there?
I don't know. Nolan Cockrell, Andre Carter, Eric Smith.
Yeah, thank you for shouting out.
I got to shout out the boys. They're stuck.
You got to shout out the boys.
They'll get it done. I know it.
Is there a point in these games? Like you said, you went 3-1, but there is an element of, and I'm speaking out of place, but only based on the conversations we've had here. But so much of the game is to eliminate their will to compete, right? Like you really want to impose a physicality and a brutality that is going to mentally impact the way that they play. Or are there moments? Do you remember moments in either these Army Navy games, the ones you won or otherwise, where you could almost sense it? You're like, ooh, the air is starting to leave the balloon. Like they're starting to let this thing slide a little bit because of the down to down advantage and execution that your team had been able to impose.
100%. I think that's this is my favorite memory of Army football ever. Was last year when we were playing Navy. I think we had just come out of the half. They showed it. I saw it a little bit after I think they played at halftime. Cedric made that tackle on the 1 or 2 yard line because they came out after half, got a big run on the perimeter on us, and it was either 0-0, maybe 3-0 us. But at that point, all the momentum is in Navy's hands, right? And they're knocking on the door. They're about to put run it in for 6, and we had done it before. We had a goal line stop against Cincinnati, who's obviously a very good football team, and they were last year as well. So we had done it before, and we knew we could do it again. And that was something those are kind of moments that you just feel. I can't remember if anybody ever said anything when we were in that goal line stand other than, strapping up our helmets and having that look in your eyes, like we're going to stop them right here because we're not letting them score. As you guys can remember, that was the outcome. We didn't let them score, and we all kind of, bunkered down together and made it happen. We didn't let them in. So that's seriously one of my favorite football memories. And that goes hand in hand with what you're asking. It kind of, the momentum shift of the game and the way everything can play out. It was just really cool that we all rose up together and made sure they didn't get in the end zone.
15-0.
15-0.
What a way to wrap up your time in America's game. Some impressive stuff for sure.
Yeah, appreciate that. And it was like we talked about, it was at home. We still had a good amount of fans there for that game. That was special. That was a special night.
So you think we're going to get a stop here? You think we're going to at least hold them to a field goal? We trying to get a turnover? You put yourself in this position right now. You're down 14-13 this late. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking you got to get them off the field. So number one, go for the turnovers, right? At any possible chance. But that's really all throughout the game. I think even if you do give them a field goal, then they're up 4. So you gotta score a touchdown. And I think you just got to get them off the field. So you give them anything on this, we're not going to be happy about that. Ideally, if they are going to get points on the board, keep it to a field goal and let our offense go down, do their thing. And then just making it even more interesting ball game because time's winding down and both these offenses are able to hold, they have the ability to take chunks out of the time of possession and run this clock out. So we'll see what happens, but you got to get them off the field right here.
Yeah, and with the
been a very
wind,
long drive.
Yeah, with the wind that's blowing too, forcing a field goal might not be the same math that it would be on a regular day.
That's true. It's also never easy for these kickers. I can't remember what game it was, but they missed it. It might have been 2017 in the snow. Yeah, when they missed the. Yeah, I mean it's never easy for these kickers, and certainly given the conditions, it only makes it tougher. So, if we are already, it's already in field goal range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ball on the 25. Yeah, 3rd and 7 right here. Is that what it is for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Wrap him! All right.
Chips ahead of us both.
But yeah, I mean, field goal range. Try to get them on the hash.
All right, so put yourself in the enemy's shoes right here. Do you go for it or you kick it?
4th and 4.
4. If I'm on offense right now, I would go for. I would kick it. Right, I would settle for let your defense do its thing and take the 4-point lead and hope that the time is in your favor. That's the thing. These games are so unconventional because of the time, right? So like this 6.5 minutes left in this game is different than
one possession. Yeah.
For a team like Wake Forest, right? That passes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So this is we got ourselves a great game right here.
Oh, this has been awesome. This is pretty much everything you could ask for from an Army-Navy game so far.
Yeah, seriously. Fairly low scoring, but get making stuff happen and
long drives.
Brought out the trickery a little bit.
Yeah, big stops. Dump the playbook. All right, well, John, we've got Kiara Stokes joining us here in about 5 or 6 minutes. Like you can hang out if you want, or you can get back to enjoying the game and not have to be in a global public space regardless of outcome. So you can say whatever you want without any fear of repercussions. It's totally up to you. If you want to take off and enjoy it, we really appreciate your time hanging out with us.
Yeah, no problem at all. Like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been awesome talking about it. I'll start yelling at the TV here by myself, I guess. I'm just playing. Like I said, you got to believe. So we got 6.5 minutes. I'm confident the boys will get it done.
Let's go. All right. Hey, good luck on Sunday, and we wish you nothing but success and health with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
All right,
thank you, John. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, I was about to say 4th down try. I don't want to put him in that.
Listen. The biggest upset of the show is that we've been live for 3 hours and I haven't sworn yet. So we wanted to try.
You don't even do that on a 1-hour podcast.
I know. So
we're on hour 3 and Tom still kept this thing PG-13.
We don't need John blowing it in case something happens here.
Things are particularly tense right now. I don't want to make John get in trouble. Have Seahawks PR lighten up Coca's phone. All right. I mean, this is like I had to almost scoot back, and this is just awesome. Because if Navy, they are going to kick it. I was going to say if Navy goes for it as it was looking like before the timeout, and gets the first down, they could end the game.
Yeah.
I mean, they could end the game.
That's what like John was talking about, like how quickly it's like, like a regular, like a Wake Forest and a typical offense you see has like a 2-minute drill. Like when it comes to these teams, it's the 7-minute drill.
Seriously. Yeah.
Like Army running out of time here. I know that there's over 6 minutes left in the game, but depending on what happens, they're going to need every single one of those 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh, we are going to go for it.
this is huge.
This is awesome. Great atmosphere in the stadium. By the way, if Ken Niumatalolo wins
What
this
play
game,
you running here?
Oh,
what you running? Or are you going to pass? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm running.
Yeah, you sticking to what you do best.
Yeah, I mean it's like so many of the guests that we've had on today. The like you run something with misdirection and you hope that a linebacker or a safety makes the wrong decision, and then you've got the open space that you need.
Nope.
Flag.
Oh, come on, guys. Well, that makes the decision a little easier now.
Yeah,
but this is now.
Easier.
So now what? We're backed up to the 26th, or Navy's backed up to the 26th. This is going to be like a 43-yard field goal attempt.
Yeah.
That is not a sure thing.
Let's see.
43. Because this is huge for the game and for our bet. Because
all right. Hey, if you're Navy, you took care of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got that clock down to 6:10. You extended it, and you got points. Period. You got points.
Yeah, you forced Army to have to go down the field to get a touchdown. They can't just play for the field goal here, and that is huge.
Wow. Big drive coming up. And as we continue on with our cavalcade of stars here on the Army-Navy Watch Party presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Discover over 200 roles at goarmy.com. We are so excited to bring to the show Kiara Stokes. Kiara,
hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're good. Thoughts on
We're
the
enjoying
game
this game.
and on the moment.
It's been a pleasure watching you all day, watching the game, trying to go back and forth. Yes. So we're losing right now, so I don't really have too much to say about the.
Well, all right. So we talked a little bit before the game started. Has the family group chat been talking at all?
I really think my brother that's in the Navy. I think he's busy. Yes, doing something on a mission or something. Yes, because he hasn't been talking at all today. But each year, normally we would go neck and neck talking about the game, who's going to win, and things like that.
What about your? Did you ever get a chance to attend this game?
Never. Actually, we have individuals from my unit. They have one of our assets out there at the game, and of course, I wanted to be there, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy you're with us.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you're in the prime star position right here. Don't worry.
Thank you so much.
It would be like so windy if you were there, and you're just you look so comfortable. Rocking the polo. You're all good. You look very comfortable.
Thank you.
What does the game in general mean to you?
So it's so much more than a game to me. Like it represents tradition, the camaraderie, brotherhood, and of course our competitive heritage that we do. We understand that it's a game on the field. Everyone's mission is to win, but off the field, we understand that we're one big team. Yes.
So what are we thinking here? Do you think Army's going to be able to pull this one off? They're about to get the field. They gave up the field goal. They're down 4. Navy's going to be kicking off. Do you think the guys can drive down the field and get this touchdown and get this win?
It's no doubt in my mind. I know.
Yeah.
I have full faith in my team. I have full faith. If I'm wrong, take this out. No, I'm joking.
Well, what sort of what drew you to getting involved with the United States Military Academy and wanting to be a part of the Army family, and sort of what attracted you to taking that steps in your own life?
Yeah. So I've never been a part of the academy. I never went to West Point or anything, even though it's such an honor when I talk to individuals who are thinking about it and things like that. I have 2 older siblings. I have one who serves in the Navy, and I have an older brother who just retired from the Army. So I think he played the part in that, and me actually joining the Army, because I talked to both of them about my decision to join. And my brother that's in the Navy is like, go to college. And my brother that's in the Army like, sis, you meet some amazing people. You get to do this. You learn career. Like he really made the Army seem like what it really is. And I'm so thankful for him for that. Yes. Because the Army, it's really been the best decision I've made. Even through the hard times, everything like that, it's been one of the best decisions.
Well, there's, I mean, like so many different opportunities that are available. I feel like a lot of the viewing public doesn't understand that there are different roles that don't always have to involve the academy and don't always have to be like what your common mindset might be about joining the Army. There's a lot to it.
Yes, I actually was listening to Brett earlier, and it like really stood out to me when he said when he first found out like you can be in the Army and play football. Like when he first found that out, that's why my current position in the Mission Support Battalion is so important to me. I'm so passionate about it because I get to travel around the U.S. and show them everything that we have to offer. I'm a bodybuilder, so a lot of people ask me like, "How are you still full-time Army and you get to compete and things like this?" I'm like, I have time to work on me, and the Army has really like set the foundation as far as like fitness and doing things for yourself. So I'm very passionate about showing individuals that you don't have to be the typical soldier or what people perceive us to be in the Army. Like you can do other things. You can play sports. We have a fishing team. We have a gaming team. We have a warrior fitness team. So we have so much to offer, and that's why I'm so passionate about this position.
Well, you talk more about the position. What's involved with it?
So we drive my unit. I'm in the Mission Support Battalion, but my unit is the Mobile Exhibit Company. So we drive semis, assets that represent the Army, different jobs that we have. Like we have medical, we have STEM, we have aviation, different types of semis that we drive all over the United States. So we deploy. All of our trucks deploy, and we were on the road more than 280 something days out of the year, just showing off everything that we have to offer. And it's so beautiful to me to like touch every part of our nation and really show them what we're about. Yes.
That's terrific.
They just scored. The score is 13-17 now, and I'm like,
Yeah, well, Army's moving the ball though. They're out closer to midfield now, so this is going to come down to the wire. I think this is going to be a close finish.
Oh, they can throw a flag? No,
I don't know.
No, clean.
33 is just a giant human being.
So, go ahead.
How has the watch party been for you all? You two you've been on all day. Like I've enjoyed watching you. Has it been fun for you all to watch the game, listen to different stories and things like that?
It's flown by.
I've loved it. Yeah,
truly has flown by. Awesome. You know, the game itself is easy to get pulled into just because you make time for it each and every year, and then to also have it enhanced by all these really cool conversations. It's absolutely flown by. Of course, the live chat's always popping off, and so
I have to jump in and just say, Kiara, the chat is going crazy for you right now. How many people did you bring to this watch party?
Oh my goodness!
How many people did you bring to this watch party?
So moms. I told my mom, and she probably told the whole community. So
yeah, I've been putting the comments up on the screen before. You've got all these people in here just shouting you out, and this is the most that we've ever seen. Is all these people love you and are jumping in. So I had to just jump in here quick and just say, like, that is going crazy.
Yeah, John Radigan plays for the Seattle Seahawks. He didn't have this many fans pop in and call him out. Yeah, no, we love you, Stokes. Go Cousin Stokes. So, lots of support and love. So for your in the time that you do get to focus on being taking care of yourself and being a bodybuilder, that's got to be invigorating as it is. Like what motivated you to, in your free time, in your time to be selfish, want to also do that?
Yeah, so I feel like I know the Army set the foundation because we have to maintain a certain level of physical fitness. And even though we're on a special duty assignment and we're traveling all across the U.S., we still have to represent the Army in a way that says this person is in the Army. This is the standard. So that was kind of a perk to doing bodybuilding to me because it keeps me motivated. It keeps me going towards not only my bodybuilding career, but also my military career as well. It's hard at times because I'm in different states and I'm like, oh, I need to try the tacos here, or I want to try this here. But the discipline, the Army set that foundation for me. So I love it. And I'm happy that I'm doing it and I'm able to do it in the Army. Yes.
Can I be a bad influence and say you should try the tacos?
I know sometimes
like
I
just
give myself extra cheat meals. Like, oh, my coach didn't approve this, but no, I'm joking.
You need the fuel for the workout. That's all.
Right.
I'm not having this taco because I want it. I need it.
Right.
Hey, chat. Should Kiara try the tacos when she's traveling around? Yes or no? Okay, give me just a Y or N. Tacos, Y or N, because I think that part of traveling is getting to taste the tacos all over the place. They're delicious. Oh man. All right. So here's a question. Do you think that, and I understand that you're gonna have your own bias here, but do you think that Army's gonna be able to find a way to pull this thing out?
Because I'm looking at the time now, but where there's a will, there's a way. That's the saying, correct?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm biased. I'm not going to say that my team's not going to pull it off. We have 3 minutes. Change left.
Need a turnover. We need to get a turnover here.
I know we do. We really do.
We need to see a fumble.
And I'm looking, you all have me so on the edge now. Like, keep looking back and forth.
It's an exciting finish. It's hard not to look back.
It's a watch party.
What do you think?
I think Navy's probably about to ice this.
I think you got to get a stop here quick. I think if you could get a turnover, that would be huge. But it was.
Tom, you have faith. I like it. You have a plan. You're like,
Chip's a pessimist.
We could, and Chip is like, well, it's the Navy's game. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's the Navy's game.
I just know how a clock can, the clock just keeps running, you know? There's the one good thing is I do think Army's got
2 timeouts left. They just took their first. So it's
okay.
It's a 2nd and 8. You get 2 more stops here. You force the punt. You probably get the ball back with a little under 3 minutes left. It's not crazy. This is still possible, Chip.
Yeah, I know. And then it's the classic quick straight offense.
Thank you, Tom. We need
My
to get
pleasure.
Chip on board, right?
I know this pessimist Chip. Chip's probably got. Chip, do you have Navy in your family? Do you got Navy? Your Navy family? Yeah.
You do?
See, well, this is where it comes out.
Yeah. It's okay to say it, Chip.
My grandfather was a surgeon. He was an ENT surgeon as I knew him, but he was in the Navy during World War II before he moved to Durham, North Carolina. So that's what I got.
My grandfather was in the Army, so you know who I'm rooting for here.
Yes. Thank you, Tom. I know it was a reason, Tom, I'm joking, Chip. I'm joking, Chip.
Hey, listen, by the way, the whole chat says eat the tacos. So,
eat the tacos. Now I know.
Yeah. Now I know. The chat's never wrong. Tell your coach trainer that.
The chat.
Yeah. What am I going to? I can't let the people down. I have to have this taco.
Wins, I'm going to eat the tacos. If we lose,
there we go.
I stay disciplined.
Yes.
See, now we've got some stakes going right here.
Yeah. Hit like on the video for the tacos, and if Army wins, we're eating the tacos.
Right. I really appreciate you all having me on. I don't know if I said thank you already, but it means a lot. Any chance I get to talk about the Army, and of course during this time with the game is like the Super Bowl for us. Really, really, it really is. So I really appreciate you all having me.
We really appreciate you coming on to help us out here. And now Chip's running away. Where's he going?
Right.
But no,
for the second time, right? It's not halftime, Chip.
But no, seriously, we really appreciate you coming on to help us out and helping, with the whole situation that we have here. And thankfully, we've got an awesome game to watch while doing so.
Right.
Here, where did he go? Just running off on us.
Right.
Hey, no, you got to show your face.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, we got a special guest.
Sorry.
She couldn't come in. She couldn't get in the door.
Hi, Parker.
All right. See ya. Bye.
All right. So we've got 3rd and 5 here. Navy's got the ball at the 21. If we get a stop here, it's gonna be over 3 minutes. Oh, there's the stop. Final timeout.
Okay.
3:04 left.
Well,
Game on.
Right. So you said that you love this opportunity. and I want to give you this platform, especially here at this timeout. You know, as the game's at commercial, like, is there anything else that you want to make sure, like a message that that you want to make sure that you share? Because there are like so many different opportunities and pathways and roles, and I think that you've done a good job of being able to spotlight that it's not necessarily the traditional, or not, forget traditional. It's not necessarily the common mindset for a lot of people, and so I think you're doing a lot of educating here. So, is there anything else you want to share with our good audience here?
I just want to say, if you've ever thought about it or if it ever crossed your mind to take this challenge, like Nike says, I would say just do it. I don't think you will regret it. Like, even if you, because just like anything you do in life is going to be ups and downs. So even if you do it and you're like, this isn't for me, you're going to take something away from it. You're going to learn something. You're going to become a better you. So I would say, if you've ever crossed your minds to join the team, take the challenge in either, in any aspect, do it. Just do it. Go see if you qualify. Yes, that's all.
Awesome. Well, Kiara, I'll tell you what. We're not going to hold you. We don't have any tacos nearby to surprise you with. We're not going to bring them out here after Army wins and make you do anything on camera. In fact, we're going to let you enjoy the final moments of this game in whatever way. We don't want to put your reactions on camera. I want you to be free, right?
All right,
I want you to be free to express yourself without having the global audience to judge you, good or bad, no matter what. But thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You all enjoy the rest of the game. Tom,
we
already
will.
know what's going to happen.
Thank you. Go RVP, baby.
See ya. All right.
All right, here we go, Chip. This is what it all comes down to.
I mean,
that was a scary snap on that punt.
it really does. I mean, this is it.
So 67 yards in 3 minutes. The game is on the line. The under is on the line. The spread's pretty much settled at this point.
Are we at 200 likes? Did we just get it up? I see Preston saying it's pint glass time.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, yeah, and out of bounds. Let's go.
This is tense.
This is very, very tense.
All right, so prediction. Does Army do this? No, yes or no?
Yes.
So,
better team. Better team all season. You're coming down to execution.
I mean, look at, they're going 4 wide. I'm not used to seeing this. How far ahead of me are you right now?
I'll tell you. My second down snaps just now.
Okay. So I just finished the first down play. So Chip, you just be quiet and don't tell me anything that's happening. Just let us all watch on our own. No,
Okay.
Just kidding. You know, when you got up and left, I thought like you had somehow gotten tacos delivered.
Well,
which would have been mean to force me and Kiara to watch you eat tacos.
No, it's a big, I mean, in case you can't tell by the house, I mean, this house has a big old heavy door.
Mm-hmm.
So some
Is
trouble
it
with
oak?
the door. I don't know what kind of wood it is. It's got some carvings.
You can't tell just by knocking on it.
No, can you?
No. Yeah, of course I can.
This is chestnut.
My grandfather, who was in the Army, was a carpenter. So
Okay.
I know a lot about wood. All right. Don't question me about my grains and my types.
Yeah, I think
What's
Army
your
does
favorite wood, chat? Hit us with your favorite kind of wood.
Nerves.
Oh, first down.
Nerves.
I love this game so much.
I know.
This is I'm happy, like I hope that it stays forever just as its own spotlight game that week after the regular season, because it's just I would hate to have to miss this because they're making us live blog another game.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And I also feel like this is officially the first bowl game of the year every season. Like, I know it's not a bowl game, but it feels like a bowl game. It has that whole kind of atmosphere.
Especially with it, like, ever since they, it's played in an NFL stadium. You've got fans from both teams that are there. Oh, man, the chat's so awesome. John trolling with Balsa. act like I didn't do Odyssey of the Mind and have to make a balsa wood structure that would hold weight. Ash, mahogany, cedar, birch, oak.
Birch is a solid wood.
Red oak for furniture making, maple for all around beauty and ease of working with. Mark says, my time has come.
Hell yeah, Mark. Thank you.
Ooh!
Oh, what I miss.
Not an interception, but almost.
Close to an interception. Yeah, see, this is where you get into trouble when in an option team in these kind of situations where you're forced to throw, because these are just not situations that you find yourself in very often, and you don't have the mental or the physical reps. And like I said, Army's throwing out 4 wide, and this is not, it's a completely different read, pre-snap, post-snap, everything.
All right. 3rd and 10, 2:01 left. Ball at the 45-yard line. Army not even gonna try to get the first down, but that's okay. I mean, we're in 4 down everything.
This is 4 down territory. The whole game is 4 down territory right now.
Don't clock it.
That's just, why would you even put that voodoo in the air? Shout out to our friend Robbie Calland, who's tweeting "Be an athlete 18."
There's a couple good takeaways here. Number 1, fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game. Number 2, Hey, Tom, I got a math proposition for you. What's 17 plus 13? Is it less than 34?
I believe it is. I believe it's
30. Oh, you thought at 10-7 this thing was going to be cooked. 17 plus 13.
I will say, I would have sacrificed the under for the Army win, though.
Just because it would have been a great finish to the season, and we've done nothing but talk to Army football players and
Army family
for the entirety of the last 4 hours.
Listen, I love the Navy. I love the Air Force. I love the way they play football. But when it comes to this series and the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, I'm Army.
I don't have a particular allegiance one way or the other on the Commander-in-Chief trophy. And some of that probably comes from the fact that the first half decade of us being at CBS was the end of the Navy run.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so, for most of my life, it has been a dominant kind of Navy territory. Although over the entire history of this series, it has generally gone in runs. Like a team dominates an era, and then the other one takes it over. It's very rarely do you see it go back and forth from year to year too often. Oh, Danny Cannell texting in, saying never a doubt. Yeah, no, Danny, I believe you had a few doubts, my friend.
Yeah, wasn't he taking the over?
Yeah, he took the over. He's conceding gracefully.
He took. I bet you he bet the under and then gave away the over just so he could try and catch you on the show. That was the whole point of all of his bets. Were basically how can I catch Tom?
Yes.
That's it. That's all he really wanted was to catch you, and he even made it lock official. He did everything he could, knowing that there was no doubt that whatever happened, the under was going to hit.
Oh man!
Go ahead.
I
don't know how far behind I am. I don't know if I got the Colin stream after Brett got that stream, and they passed it on to me, and I have to keep that tradition alive. But where?
It's halftime at Coca's.
One clock is bleeding. They're kneeling it out. Is what I've got.
Okay, so I could fire off this. Was there ever a doubt?
Yes, I'm about to fire mine off. So
okay. I'll beat you to that punch.
I mean, it would really require a fake kneel touchdown pass for us to see this thing exceed the total of 34.
So, Chip, who's your player of the game?
I'm gonna say Ty Labatai.
Yeah, I think that's probably
because
smart.
you mentioned they've been doing 2 quarterbacks and like multiple quarterbacks throughout the entire season. So if you lose our line, it's not that big a deal. But our line was clearly part of the game plan, and to have him go out with the hamstring at the very, very beginning of the game, he shouldered the load. The offense as a whole was, fairly productive, and most importantly, was able to get it done when they needed to. What about you?
I would go with Lavatai too, probably. I think Diego Fajot deserves a shout out. He had 9 tackles for Navy. Also, not on the winning team, but Christian Anderson, 108 yards passing, 67 yards rushing, had the 56-yard touchdown run. Just, he had a good day. Just as overall team, Army didn't have enough to win this game, but just a lot of good performances, a very entertaining game. And I think we kind of touched on it earlier. One of the biggest factors for me into how this one played out was just Army's overall lack of success on first down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't have a player of the game, so I'm just going to give a special shout out to my friend. He's Staff Sergeant Tom Rice in the 7th Special Forces Group out of Destin, Florida.
Yay!
They're overseas right now, so I just wanted to give him a shout out and his troop a shout out. Sorry, Army couldn't get the win, but you're my friend, and that's a good consolation prize.
Yeah, but you're his friend, and that's probably, that's got to be a burden. Like,
did we hit the pint glass?
Well, I figured we did hit the pint glass, so I'm just gonna pick somebody on from the names that were dropped in before, some Twitter handles that I've seen, because I've done like 40 things as this has been going on, so I've kept an eye on chat this whole time, so I sort of know who's been here since the beginning.
And listen,
I want to help somebody out who's been sitting with us for 3 hours minutes right now.
Yeah,
who's been watching this entire time, and they deserve a pint glass.
100
for some oat milk vodkas. Shout out to Barton Simmons and that almost top 25 recruiting class at Vanderbilt.
I know Barton's doing work. I want to point out, I've got a tweet that I've got scheduled to go out in a little bit that I sent yesterday, so I didn't forget. But I do want to say, Barton Simmons was way ahead of the curve on Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman last year. And 4 years ago or whatever, when Kenny Pickett was a freshman, Barton was out here saying, hey, I really like this Pickett guy at Pitt. I think he's got a chance to be pretty good. And who's a Heisman finalist? Kenny Pickett. There's a reason why Barton was hired by Clark Lee at Vanderbilt to help him put together his roster, and Chip and I weren't.
Because if you hire Chip, you're getting nothing but fullbacks and offensive linemen.
Same here, probably, yeah. I mean, in fact, Clark Lee was a fullback, so I'm sure Clark Lee might bring in his own fullbacks too.
Okay, so before we get out of here, it looks like we're singing our songs together, doing our civility, and now Navy gets to go celebrate first. Oh, sorry, that was a sound from the other end of the hall. Dan Lanning at Oregon. We talked about it briefly in the game. Any sort of lingering thoughts here?
No, it's going to be. So now what? Temple's the only job that's left open, right?
Because Duke got Mike Elko, which I think good hire for Duke, right? I mean, if you were going to tell me Jason Garrett or Mike Elko, I would tell you that
Mike Elko.
Jason Garrett makes it more interesting to hear him get mad at local radio hosts because they won't call him coach. That's all I was hoping for. But in terms of the success of the Duke football program, I would say Mike Elko gives you a better chance for success than Jason Garrett. Dan Lanning at Oregon, I'm like, all right, this is an amazing opportunity for Dan Lanning. And, the last time that you had a head coach, it was just an internal promotion of your offensive coordinator, and he ended up succeeding at a level that got himself a 10-year, $80 million contract at Miami. So clearly the infrastructure and the baseline at Oregon is good enough that you can have some success. And Dan Lanning deserves an opportunity given what he's done at Georgia. I can't say for sure.
What we haven't mentioned yet is Manny Diaz already finding another job.
Yeah, at Penn State. And I mean, that's honestly, clearly, maybe Manny was when he knew what the writing on the wall was, maybe Manny was getting some, back room kind of stuff going. Yeah. But no, that's a great place for Manny Diaz to land, and that is a great person for James Franklin to pull in to help him now with Poindexter staying too, not getting the Virginia job, bringing Manny Diaz into the fold, who, maybe the Miami tenure didn't work out as they were hoping, but as far as being a defensive coordinator goes, that's a guy who's put together a lot of really good defenses. It's a guy who's going to be able to help you recruit, especially in that area. And I think that's kind of a very, very solid landing spot for both him and Penn State.
That's a big loss for Temple because they could have hired Manny Diaz again.
Do you think Temple had the offer out there? You want to be head coach here again? We'll still have you. And he's like, no, DC at Penn State sounds better.
Listen, we have somebody who works for us, Emily, who works for us in Connecticut, and she's like Temple Twitter to the fullest. And some of the things that
like her keyboard's covered in cheesesteak. What I don't know what that means.
From anything Temple athletics, I see because of her, and like it looks like they do not want they would not have welcomed that back
because they're still a little bitter about that.
And now that he's at Penn State, it's just like a double. He's flipping the double bird to Temple
for real.
What he's done.
But no offense to Temple. You really consider yourself like a rival to Penn State?
I'm going to jump out the stream, and then you guys should break down the Heisman.
All right.
Okay.
Chip, who do you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy tonight?
Bryce Young is going to win because as the most of the 900 voters who get ballots, they watched the biggest game and the biggest game on CBS on the last week of the regular season was Auburn, Alabama. Bryce Young led them on a 97-yard drive, got them the win in overtime, and he threw for 421 yards against Georgia in the SEC championship game. I do not think he is undeserving of that, but if you were asking for my prediction, I would think that those massive performances on a huge stage to get a one-loss Alabama team, the number one seed in the college football playoff, is the perfect Mad Lib for how you win a Heisman.
What do you think the finishing order is? If you think Bryce Young's first, who's going to be second, third, and fourth?
I think it'll be Pickett 2, Hutchinson 3, Will Anderson 4.
No, Will Anderson's fifth. CJ
Stroud's fourth.
Yeah.
Probably right about that.
Yeah,
Do you think it's going to be a runaway where it's just like Bryce Young by 90%?
I mean, look at the odds. Like we talked about this on HQ yesterday. Like, obviously, we're both voters. We are not allowed to say who we voted for until after the award has been announced. But there are a lot of voters, and just because they're not saying publicly doesn't mean they're not saying privately. And it is of importance to sports books to have connections with these people and to do their own straw polls. So when you see the odds, last I checked, I think Bryce was minus 6,000. That should probably tell you everything you need to know.
The general Heisman Trophy race has not been undecided on the day of the Heisman Trophy in a long time.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the last time that we went into Saturday and didn't have a very good idea of what was going to happen. And for the most part, the only intrigue has been how the voting breaks down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, since I became a voter, I have not gone into any, like, I've had plenty of tough decisions to make, but I've never gone into that Saturday night after the Army-Navy game waiting for that ceremony where I wasn't fairly confident I knew who was winning, whether I'd voted for them or not.
So you think it's Stroud at 4?
I think, here's the thing, like the odds I saw had Aiden Hutchinson with the second best odds, which to me means maybe he's going to finish second, which not saying he doesn't deserve it because he's had a fantastic season. He's a fantastic player.
Haters out here.
And he might be the first pick in the NFL draft. It's just, it would be strange to me if Aiden Hutchinson finishes second in Heisman voting this year and then Will Anderson didn't even get enough votes to be a finalist. Because like, if you are going to pivot to voting for the defensive player, and this is not a knock on either one of them because they both deserve votes. They're both terrific. It's just when you look at the numbers, like Will Anderson had a pretty special season compared to Hutchinson. So I would be surprised by that, but that's where the odds are. Again, I think they're both awesome. I would be happy if either one of them won the award.
I thought it was hilarious that CJ Stroud still had odds to win the award when he's not a finalist.
He's not a finalist?
I thought
confused? No, there's 4 finalists.
I thought there were only 3 finalists.
No, there's 4. They're all 4 there. Kenny, CJ, Bryce, Naden. They're all there. They were at the game today.
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oops.
So what sport do you cover?
Oh, I wrote somewhere that there's only 3 finalists. Go find it on cbssports.com.
Go digging through Chip's author page. See if you could find where he said there are only 3 finalists. Oh, by the way, I read your Miami story yesterday. It was very good. People should go read it. cbssports.com. Chip wrote about Mario Cristobal in Miami and what that means and what the program's trying to accomplish.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, go check it out. cbssports.com. It's me basically building out. The great thing about having Jack involved, the great thing about having Jack involved is Jack Crosby, who's joined this Cover 3 podcast this season, is that sometimes he says, "Hey, that thing you said on the podcast, you should write about that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I could write about that." So hopefully I'll do a better job about that, especially now that we're in the off season and things calm down just a little bit.
I don't know about you, but once we actually hit the off season, I will probably drop off the face of the earth for 2 weeks just to decompress.
Nah, I don't think that's what the Cover 3 podcast viewers.
Coca can fill in for me for 2 weeks. It'll be fine.
All right. So our official prediction is that Bryce Young is going to win the Heisman Trophy. Clearly, I was way off on my CJ Stroud analysis, as I didn't even realize he was the finalist for the award. But hey, it's been a wild week.
Yeah.
We've brought you so many coaching changes. It's been bananas. Once we realized that Bryce Young was going to win, I think that I was just going to wait and see what happens come Saturday night, and then react from there.
A lot of work went into this, and I want to thank both you and Coca, Kiara, everybody involved for helping put this together all week. I really enjoyed it, and I hope we get to do it again.
100%. Our thanks to Brett Toth. Our thanks to Caleb Campbell. Our thanks to Colin Mooney. Our thanks to John Radigan. Our thanks to Kiara Stokes. My thanks to you, Tom Fornelli. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. My thanks to Matthew Coca for putting this together. And, of course, the U.S. Army. What's Your Warrior? Discover over 200 roles at goarmy.com. Congratulations to the Navy midshipmen. The mids got it done. It was a disappointing season until the final moments of Saturday afternoon, because while the record says 4-8, the numbers that are going to matter the most to the members of that team and of that program and of that family are 17-13. Navy now with their second win in the last 3 seasons.
Yep.
Ooh, boy. The Commander-in-Chief Trophy is retained by Army, but it is the first time that we've all gone 1-1 across the board since 1993. You can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Be sure to keep it tuned to CBS Sports HQ for continued coverage of Army-Navy postgame as well as the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Tom, thank you very much.
Go Army, beat Navy next year.